Hello and welcome to the Seedstars World Competition 2020 for Samoa in the Pacific Islands. This year, our event is fully online, and we thank you all for joining us remotely and supporting the startups in what should be a great event. We will now hand over to Max Cuvelier, Head of Mobile for Development from GSMA, for his opening remarks.
Hello everyone, Talofa Lava, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Welcome to the Pacific leg of the Seedstars World Competition 2020, and more specifically, the Samoa edition. My name is Max Cuvelier, Head of Mobile for Development at the GSMA, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome you to this online virtual event, where we will look at how we support local startups, but also how we put them on the map at a national, regional, and global level. The GSMA has been partnering with the Australian government to support entrepreneurs, and we're more committed than ever. We're repeating the Seedstars World Competition in Samoa, but also in Fiji and PNG. But at the same time, we also realized that we need to do more to train up entrepreneurs. So we've partnered with Fundia to run entrepreneurship training courses in Samoa, in Fiji, and in PNG. And we're also acknowledging that not all the startups are at the same stage in their development, so we've built two different tracks. One startup challenge for those who want to start from an idea or a prototype, and a launchpad for those more established companies. We're impressed and encouraged by the number and the quality of applicants. We've received a total of 496 applications, with a great representation of female talent. Nearly 60% of the applicants were women. And we're now providing support and filtering with 142 accepted in the Startup Challenge and over 80 hours of coaching sessions that have happened during the Startup Challenge. We're retaining great female participation throughout, and actually the proportion of female founders grows as we progress through the program, which is fantastic. On the Launchpad front, we've got 54 teams accepted to the next stage of the training. What does it mean for Samoa? Well, we've received 52 applications, and more than 2/3 of them were coming from women. Actually, all of the top 3 startups currently in the Startup Challenge from Samoa are either funded or co-founded by female founders. It's important for us to involve mobile operators as champions for the ecosystem throughout. I wanted to thank specifically Satish Sharma, the CEO of Vodafone Samoa, and Mark Whitten, the CEO of Digicel Samoa, for giving their time to mentor the startup. Vodafone Samoa also supported participants with connectivity and provided marketing support to draw up interest in the program. And finally, I want to personally thank Sam Sahili from Sky High, who's been our guide in the Samoan ecosystem since Sky High joined our Innovation Fund cohort a couple years ago. So we're really excited to bring you this virtual event where you will be able to get great startup pitches, obviously, but also the Q&A with the professionals, which will be providing them feedback, as well as a speaker panel on the entrepreneurship landscape, specifically in Samoa, and taking into account, obviously, the current context. And of course, the judge will then deliberate and announce the winners of the local country competition. But remember, as Pierre de Coubertin said, the father of the modern Olympic Games, the important thing in life is not really the triumph, but the struggle. So again, I want to thank the Australian government first for making this event possible, and of course all of you, attendees from Samoa, from the Pacific and from around the world, for tuning in, which should be a really exciting event. Enjoy and make the most of it. Thank you.
We will now hear from Her Excellency, Sarah Moriarty, the Australian High Commissioner to Samoa, who helped make this event possible.
Talofa Lava. Welcome to this live broadcast of Seedstars Pitching Competition 2020. My name is Sarah Moriarty and I'm the Australian High Commissioner to Samoa. In 2019, Seedstars brought their emerging market pitching competition to Samoa for the first time through a partnership between the Australian Government and the GSMA, the peak body of the global mobile industry. These events were an opportunity for local Samoan startups to pitch their ideas and leverage the Seedstars community of business experts and investors to take their businesses to the next level. SmartPay was selected as the winner of the Samoa event and attended the Seedstars regional event in Cambodia as part of their winner's prize. Proving the competitiveness of Samoan startups, SmartPay was recognised as one of the most promising startups in the Asia Pacific and was invited to the Global Summit in Switzerland. COVID-19 impacted the 2020 summit and continues to impact the region. Economic recovery is a central focus of Australia's new development strategy, Partnerships for Recovery. The private sector is an essential partner in this recovery, and we're committed to increasing access to capital for Pacific businesses through investment, re-establishment of markets and global value chains. This event would not be possible without the efforts, time and resources given by leaders in the local startup ecosystem and business community, some of whom I'm proud to say have benefited from the GSMA Ecosystem Accelerator Program. Like local entrepreneur Sam Saili, founder of Sky Eye Pacific, and local partner Olisana Mariner of the Hub Pacific, who have supported businesses through the entrepreneurship training programs, Startup Challenge and Launchpad, also supported by the Australian Government and the GSMA. Events such as Seedstars are particularly encouraging. It's inspiring to see the growing investment opportunities for local businesses that we know are regionally and globally competitive. I wish all the business entrepreneurs best of luck with your pitching today and encourage you to make the most of the expertise and experience Seedstars and the GSMA in Samoa can offer. Thank you. Whawhetai ma ia manuia.
After months of scouting local startups, the Seedstars competition is finally back to Samoa. Out of dozens of applications received, 8 great entrepreneurs have been shortlisted to pitch their solutions in front of an international jury, with the chance to be crowned as the Apia winner of the Seedstars World Competition 2020.
I'm Kima Savusa, co-founder for Strong.
I'm Jyoti Abraham, co-founder for Strong.
I was born and raised in New Zealand and I moved here to Samoa in 2018. My villages are Fasito Oyutsa, Talimatau, Samatau, Laluvaya and Mulfungoa.
I was born in India but moved to Samoa in 2000 and been staying in here, and I'm a national now.
Strong is a e-health service for pregnant mothers and non-communicable disease patients. Strong is a healthcare service delivering online health.
It's an e-health platform with mobile technology and also a mobile service where we will be going to the patient's house.
So from this event from Seedstars, we're here to learn how to pitch, connect with other seed starters and learn how to
possibly get funding for our project so that we can kickstart very soon.
What drives me to provide strong healthcare services is our people of Samoa. Okay, o tātou o tangata soifua, o le lau ele ele, o lo tātou ainga, ma lo tātou whasino manga. And that's stronger together, raising our next generation.
Are you ready to empower our next generation with strong healthcare services through digital platform? Strong is an acronym for Stronger Together, Raising Our Next Generation. With you and I, we can stand to make a difference in delivering healthcare through the digital platform. We recognize that during this global pandemic, accessing the delivery healthcare is a challenge. We have a wellness program designed to take care of our people. With Strong, the purpose is to address and reduce the current burden of non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and obesity. An example of our problem is access to care, acceptable of care, and assurance. An example is a pregnant mother with her 4th baby on the way, leaves her 3 children with her husband, who has taken time off work. The mother travels 20 kilometers to the main hospital here in Apia. She registers her visit at the clinic with the receptionist. She then waits to be called by a nurse for the physical measurements. She waits again. Seen by a midwife, then goes to a laboratory to have tests. She goes to the cashier to pay for these, and in the same visit, she's also needing to fill a prescription that the midwife had given her. She goes to the pharmacy, the cashier again, the dispenser, and then she needs to go book her scan for the ultrasound. And then she leaves to go back home. She's at the hospital for up to 8 hours. The acceptable care, this is the system that our patients are facing here in Samoa. They are acceptable of this type of system. The solution with Strong is to have direct access to healthcare providers at an optimum time. We want to be able to shift the paradigm in delivering healthcare by mobilizing a health team to women and utilizing an array of technology available to us. Our service is to provide a one-stop m-health clinic, an online or offline, serving the client at the comfort of their home, whether it's online through the group sessions utilizing Zoom or our mobile app, where clients and family can access educational materials, our mobile team visiting their home for their regular checkup visits at a fraction of the time she is visiting at the hospital. Our midwifery team consisting of a midwife and a community health worker who carry the equipment to their home. The women's physical measurements are done in the home, and ultrasound, blood tests, and providing the woman with their medical records on her app that we've given her. Our experience with our pilot program and research, we found that groups care, 90% are accepting of this type of care. Breastfeeding rates is what we saw that improved. Weight management over the course of the pregnancy were better with group care and this versus the standard care. The average weight of women that gained in the group care versus standard care was 4.2 kilo difference. Strong delivers the curriculum in either Samoan or English. There are up to 10 sessions to deliver over the course of the pregnancy, depending on their gestation. Our target market is obviously the pregnant mothers. The teenagers and the employed or ones with their own mobile phone is who we are currently targeting. Our target population for pregnancy care here is 5,000. So our SOM, okay, the size of the market is 100 initially. So we would have one in midwife to 100 midwife team for the pregnant mother ratio. Then expand our team of midwives to 10 so that we're serving up to 1,000 women. The competitive advantages that we have with Strong Care is the continuity of care during the pregnancy and postnatal period or after they've given birth. The experience in delivering group care online, an education material that's readily available to the mums, and an e-health record where they get to carry. So if they were ever to go to another provider, that they have a record on hand. Because our systems that we currently have here in the hospitals, you can have a woman that has 10 different records. We have the potential to also extend our services in non-communicable diseases clients that have diabetes or hypertension. Our competitive approach is to provide care that's evidence-based. We currently have 10K followers of our social media site, and we can market this by doing sponsoring ads. And to start off and launch Strong here in Samoa, we would have a soft launch here somewhere here nice, probably here at the Sheraton. Our revenue model is a service model approach. We estimated it will be $300 US per pregnancy. If it was a diabetic or a hypertension patient, it would be about $250 per year. There's a potential to license the actual model of care that we deliver so that we can do a B2B.
Kima, I'm sorry I have to stop you here. The time is up for the presentation, but don't worry, we can cover the rest through the Q&A. So actually, thanks a lot for the presentation, first of all. So do you have an ask at the moment? So how much are you looking to raise, and how would you use the money?
Thank you for the question. So our ask is 200K USD. and that's to design and develop the actual app and to digitize this big book full of material. And this is what we need to have the women to access online. Also, and pay for the midwives and the operation costs. Mentoring is what we've seen as a need for the business because we're not, our strength is not in business. So mentoring from a business mentor really helps. So through the Seedstar, the Launchpad, the Startup Challenge, that's really helped us a lot. So I think we'll get a little bit more strength in the terms of delivering a good financial and a sustainable product. The other is medical resources.
Okay, amazing. Thanks a lot for this. So I would have a few other questions, but I'll pass the word first to Ben and Stephanie, and if you have time, we can go back. So please, Ben, Stephanie, any of you?
That was fantastic, and I'm going to be a little bit biased here because we do run we run a very similar platform in Timor-Leste, where we have 70,000 women registered to it, doing very, very, very similar to this thing. So I think this really does have legs, and it is possible and it can be done. So I congratulate you on the idea. It's really, really great. There's some things I think that we do have a lot of lessons learned from that. One thing I'd really like to understand is your existing links with government and partner systems and how that looks like, because they will have their own way of working, and I think there's been a lot of potential here to complement with government systems and hospital systems. And have you thought about that?
Yes, definitely, because without them, I'm not able to deliver this kind of healthcare service. So it's important for us to partner with them. I have a good relationship with the current CEO, so it has been already discussed with him, and it's just a matter of waiting for COVID to kind of like disappear, or I think we just have to work with it. But offering the online platform is probably one way they're not on top of at this stage. So that's where I see us as an advantage. And the e-health will help the hospital current system. I don't see it will be a burden to them. I think it's going to help the Ministry of Health at this stage.
Hi, ladies. Awesome presentation. And I also know of a similar app that's been developed and running in Myanmar called Mai Mai. And that was developed by a local software company. And so I think if you're looking for ideas before the development starts, I don't know how far down development you are, obviously you can learn a lot from what Ben's program has done in Timor-Leste, and then I can very much connect you to the Coco Tech teams in Myanmar to see what's worked, how they've kept engaging, and they've also partnered with the health services. It's now the biggest provider of prenatal and antenatal care to pregnant mothers in Myanmar. So my question is this basically a private service that Samoan mothers would pay for, or do they pay a similar amount if they're going through the public system?
So this will be a private service as such, and that is actually marketed at the employed mothers or the employed women or the employed people if we're to expand the services to the diabetics and the hypertension. We've also got this other idea to add on top of the actual healthcare service, where the families that are currently overseas in New Zealand, Australia, USA, who are concerned about their loved ones here in Samoa, and there's a good revenue of remittances that are coming into Samoa, and if they want to pay for their healthcare service, our market will be towards the loved ones overseas in New Zealand, Australia, USA.
So if you're pregnant right now in Samoa and you go to the hospital and you have all your checks, does it cost you a similar amount or much, much less?
Much less.
Okay, all right. So you're paying for a premium service here, and you would then in turn be paying your health workers in addition to perhaps them working for the government service to make the house calls, or they'll only be working for you?
They'll be only working with us. Well, this is where we will need to partner with the MOH to see if we're able to partner in that respect, so that there's good, well-used resources between, because I cannot employ 10 midwives within the next year because they are needing the same resources. So Strong should actually be with the Ministry of Health, but I feel that this is also an opportunity for the market to go business-wise as well.
Great, thank you so much.
So we know with technology absorption, it works across a curve. So it's basically motivation and simplicity. So pregnant mothers are obviously motivated to access your service. I do wonder how simple it is for them to access. And I would encourage you to have a bit of a think about that. And I guess my question around that, therefore, is how does this work in low connectivity environments? How does it work with the mothers that need it the most in perhaps rural areas of Samoa? Or aren't you targeting those mothers? Are you targeting mothers in Apia specifically, and people who can afford the service?
So I understand with the low connectivity in the rural areas, but my understanding with DigiCell, they've gone 99% coverage LTE, and he's reassured me that the connectivity into the most remote areas of Samoa, we will be connected. So that's reassuring for us. However, we can always go back to the my big thick book where the women would have the old version. It is still technology, it is paper. I know we don't want to be printing a lot of trees, but this would be the backup. So that would address the actual connectivity.
Oh, that's great. Thanks very much. And as Stephanie said, we're happy to connect and talk through some of this broadly, but in terms of this conversation, I really appreciate the answer to your question.
Thanks, Ben and Stephanie, first of all. Thanks so much, Kima, for the presentation. Good luck with the future and the development of this amazing project. Thanks again, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
In a room full of innovators, can you imagine your idea changing the world that you live in? And to our judges, how would you feel if you never had to listen to another monotone pitch again? Well, ladies and gentlemen, 8 Goals is a precursor to incubation hubs around the world. We build on personal and professional development, and furthermore, we're online, so it's freely accessible globally. During the global lockdown, I had people contacting me on both a personal and professional level to ask about business ideas, coping mechanisms, and how to transition ideas into implementation. And that is how 8 Goals started. The first time I had a global pitching experience was in China. I made it to the finals, and I was the only Pacific person to take home a prize. The unfortunate thing about this was that the banner behind me read Asia Pacific, and yet the only Pacific country to be represented was Samoa. Ideally, what I would have liked to see at this event was more Pacific representation. Why? The Pacific make up 15% of the globe's surface. Young people in the Asia and Pacific region make up 700 million people. Yet Pacific and youth are still largely underrepresented at almost every level. 8 Goals gives people the opportunity to aim for excellence as social entrepreneurs, but most importantly, to make an impact on their society. Pacific face many inequities. One problem is underrepresentation. Therefore, the people who need the most help are often the last ones to receive it. The second one is sustainability. So intentional educational resources will help build a more sustainable ecosystem. As a precursor incubator, we are often in direct competition with bigger giants such as local and global NGOs. What makes us different is that this is our ecosystem. We are better informed to work with Pacific people because of our alignment. Our vision for 8 Goals is to be the main online startup incubation hub for Pacific people. It is so great to get opportunities like this to pitch, but we need more regional integration and support. This is something that I am confident 8 Goals can bridge. The youth population is expected to peak in 2065 to 1.4 billion youth worldwide. I'll be 75 years old at the time, so we're talking about 2 generations from now. Did you know that the Pacific have one of the most youthful populations in the world? Therefore, youth entrepreneurship is the way to go for sustainable development in the Pacific. Our potential market opportunity we're looking at is a population of 8 million. Our business model is simple. Sign up to a monthly membership or an annual subscription, choose the modules that suit you. You can access our online resources, both public and private. You get the one-on-one mentoring with industry leaders, and we get you impact investment ready. There is a wealth of talent in the Pacific. We are not short on brilliant ideas, but we just need more opportunities to execute. Our team is made up of a party of 2. My background is in public health, specializing in Pacific health, and my business partner and older sister is a life coach, specializing in early childhood education. As you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and so our team extends beyond 2 people, but incorporates our partners and stakeholders. Now, my pitch here today is not why we need you, but why you need us. We are not here to reinvent the wheel. We partner with investment incubators, youth organizations all over the world. We are not here to be the same as what currently exists. We swim in our own niche market because we too fell into a gap of competing at local level and then global level without that intermediary support. Our ask is for mentorship, scholarship opportunities to further our learning experiences, funding of US $400,000 to help with online running of programs, logistics, management, and operations. At the end of the day, with this competition, you have the power to change the trajectory of social entrepreneurship and innovation. If you invest in the right organizations and the right people, you will have an incredible influence on the world we all live in. 8 Goals can help you unlock so much more potential than you could have ever imagined. Therefore, our question is not to ask why now, but rather, why wait? Thank you.
Thank you, Esmeralda. Thanks a lot for the presentation. It was a great, great pitch. So congratulations. Really, really impressive. Maybe let me start with a quick question, which is, could you please outline a bit who's your customer? Who are you targeting specifically?
Sure, youth, and so I wanted to broaden the context, not just look at Pacific, but look at Asia Pacific. And so youth between the ages of, well, coming out of high school, so maybe around 15 up until 35. With the Pacific, we have our median age range in Samoa is 33, so we've got quite a youthful population. And yeah, they're the ones with a lot of the ideas and also living in the environments that we want to change and living in that context, so they know the problems at grassroots level. So it's really just helping them with the ideas that they already have and implementing it into a business model.
Great. So how the business model works, like is it B2C? Do they pay to get on board and have this, I've seen, I think, webinar, one-on-one mentoring sessions. How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So they just get in contact with us. We have a 60-minute free consultation. And then we have different types of modules. So it's like branding, product service development, tailored marketing plan. I look after all the business side. My sister looks after all the personal development as a life coach. And so depending on what the person wants to work on, if it's communication skills, if it's public speaking skills like this and presentation style, what we do is they pick out certain modules that they want, and then there's different levels. So depending on what someone can afford or what they want to go for, there's a bronze, silver, gold, and then a premium, which means the premium we take you through the whole year, but also knowing that startups is not just a one-year kind of plan. And that's kind of something that we've learned on our way as well. This is my second business model. The first one was 8 Sports, which is the one that I pitched in China 2 years ago. So our idea is actually to have them in our program for about 3 years. And that's the whole time that we're kind of developing them as a person, developing all those soft skills and all the hard skills that they need as a business owner, but also the person-to-person skills so that they can get their customers on board as well.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Ben or Stephanie.
So thank you. Fabulous pitch. You're obviously walking the talk at being an excellent communicator and presenter of ideas. It was extremely engaging. So it's like getting a little sneak peek into what the entrepreneurs or the youth would get when they're accessing your services. I understand from some of the programs that I run, it's so difficult to be profitable as an incubator or an accelerator or any financial intermediary, really. So I can definitely understand you pitching for some grant funding. I'm assuming you wanted a grant. What do you think realistically is your chances of a sustainable model? What would it look like? Or always needing some sort of grant to manage, to balance the subscription? And also supplementary question, what's the range cost-wise of your subscriptions?
We're still very new. We've got a few clients in New Zealand, Australia and Samoa, so it depends on where they're paying as well. We wanted to make it affordable so that people can actually try and get on board, especially in this we just launched in July this year, so in the middle of COVID literally. But I think with us, you're right, the whole trying to make it a sustainable model is difficult, and that's why we've thought of making it as social entrepreneur, because people want to invest in why you're doing things, not just as personal development and not giving back. So it's really important for us to keep on with what we've started last year of our mental health seminars, and the funds that we do get go back into the community. And invest in knowledge and invest in time of people. So it's not just building 8 goals itself, but it's really building the community that 8 goals is in, and helping them flourish as individuals, as people. Sorry, does that kind of answer a little bit of it, Stephanie?
Ballpark, like, are people paying, like 10 Australian dollars a month for a basic service, or is it
right?
50?
The bronze was about 300, and that's over a 4-month period. Okay. So they can pay it in installments, and then the premium goes up to 1,000 Australian dollars.
Okay. And one more super quick question. So with a 2-person team, are you providing all of the content? Are you going to outsource and bring in experts as needed?
We talk to teachers and lecturers. We also talk to medical professionals in different countries. So we've got partners in the Solomon Islands, Fiji, Samoa, Australia, New Zealand. And we talk to people that are in those areas. And then we use our health and education background to kind of fuse all of those together. And then we put our own modules together so that it's original content. And yeah, it's the money would go towards putting that through a proper database as well, because you're right, 2-people team is like not a lot of sleep at night.
Great, thank you so much. Over to you, Ben.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, Giovanni, and thanks, Esmeralda. That was fantastic. I do agree, that was a really fantastic pitch. You kind of sold it quite a lot. So, and we know that this is really needed in the Pacific. We know there's a big gap here, and we all know it's really hard to do a business model around this. So I agree with those questions. They're really, really important. And related to that, I would have liked to have seen a lot more about what do I get for that $400,000? It's quite a large chunk of money for what you're proposing. So that is my question. What are, in terms of that $400,000 that you're asking for, can you unpack that a little bit more, and what does that go into specifically?
Yeah, sure. So because we're covering such a wide scope, Asia and Pacific, I know that, we've got one of the biggest countries in the region. So China, for example. I've done work in other places like Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, and we're just getting into very different areas of the world. And what I want is for people to know that the Pacific exists, and to know that that we're here and that we need a voice to shine out as well. So the money would go into developing certain hubs in different countries, and that's why it's such a vast amount, because the Pacific itself has so many different islands, and so getting the internet access is not always easy in the Pacific. So I just really want to break down the barriers of access. So if people can access the internet, then they can access knowledge. And if we're able to give them that privilege, then we'll be able to educate them in different ways. I mean, a lot of our classrooms are full of, they've got, 30, 40 kids and one teacher. So if we can kind of alleviate some of that, then maybe we can come in online. A lot of people actually in the islands all have smartphones. So, that's a way that we can share the education tools, rather than just relying on, going to one person and disseminating all that information. We can help them in other ways, and not only education, then that filters into healthcare as well. And then it also filters into like minds. So we're, setting up hubs where kids are able to think and brainstorm together. And so that also takes a lot of money with electricity, internet, going into domain support. So looking at website functions, I haven't looked into that yet, but also looking at emails. So, our different staff and different emails, and really wanting to employ people at a local level. So our graphic designers, our content development, I would want to, employ people in Fiji and Samoa, so that it also looks at youth unemployment rates and getting that better. And then obviously on a larger macro scale, we're also declining on our health inequities and inequalities, because we're able to allow people to get proper education and proper work as well.
Just related to that a little bit, and once again, it is, it's not an overly large ask, but it is a fair ask. There would be an expectation that you would probably have an advisory board to support you as well, as you, especially if you're going to be expanding to other markets where perhaps you're not as familiar with, if you're thinking about China or Southeast Asia. Is there an intention to establish some kind of advisory board to support you along the journey? Yeah,
you know what, Ben, through all these pitching events and all these things that I've been through, I was in the Entrepreneurship World Cup a couple of weeks ago, and the support that I have is amazing. I work with ICDP in Australia, Pacific Trade and Invest, and I've met so many amazing people along the way. And even in China, when I pitched, one of the guys was Jeremy, and he's in Sydney. He's from Sydney. I remember going to theirs and seeing their hub and thinking, oh my gosh, this would be so amazing in Samoa, or even in the Pacific, having computers all around the place. So I'm actually inspired by so many people who jump on board and support me, not only at that government and high level, but also by watching this as well makes me really miss home, and seeing everyone else pitch as well. So I think the support is definitely there. I have financial advisors, I have my own mentors, and I'm also part of the Cherry Blair Foundation that you saw on the screen as well. So we've got mentors in the UK. I'm part of the Youth Collab, being one of their winners. So I've got mentors in Bangkok. So I do have a lot of people on board who I can pull into an advisory board. Yeah, the support has just been really amazing.
Thank you so much, Esmeralda, for your time, your pitch.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Esmeralda, good luck.
My name is Kevin Harton.
My name is Jeff Cullen.
And we are
Booking
Samoa. I'm originally from Melbourne, Australia. Been living here in Samoa for 7 years.
I'm originally from Moriarty in northern New South Wales, and I've been in Samoa just over 11 years.
Booking Samoa is an online travel agent designed specifically around the needs of small, medium enterprises here in Samoa.
By giving them tools to help them do business, but also by putting them out there in front of the world. Most of them aren't represented or bookable at the moment, and that's what we will help them do. And for tourists, visitors to Samoa, for the first time, that are really hard to find until we come along. We joined the Seedstars competition because, number one, we thought we've got a pretty good product, but in reality already, along that it's only been a short journey so far, we've really sharpened our pitching technique, I hope. We're learning from others. We're really looking at how to focus on the best parts of our business and how to present that to people. Some of the benefits of this program, well, really, there's just nothing like it here in Samoa. There are limited opportunities for startup businesses in all areas. So to be able to get some international experience, but not just that, you know, working with other people who have similar ideas, or as in starting up a new business and looking for a bit of assistance, this really is a good thing, and it again helps us look at our business, take a step back, focus on what we need to do, but also how we present that to other people.
Okay. An IT expert and a tourism expert walk into an Apia bar. It may sound like the opening line of a well-worn joke, but it's the true story of the beginning of an idea that we believe will transform the opportunities for small to medium tourism operators in developing markets like Samoa, Pacific and beyond. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to pitch Booking Samoa at Seedstars Apia. My name is Kevin Harton, the IT expert, and along with Jeff Cullen, the tourism expert, we are the co-founders of Booking Samoa. Together, we bring more than 30 years of tourism and IT experience with more than 18 years combined experience in the local Samoan tourism, training and IT sectors. Let me introduce you to Sione. Has a popular beach valet accommodation with a fine white sand beach, merging down into the crystal clear waters of the lagoon. The waves gently lap in front of your traditional open whale, and the temperature's around 30 degrees every day of the year. Apart from a Facebook page, Sione has very little online presence. He's not so reliable with email, and guests walking in is how he takes bookings. And by the way, it's cash only. The majority of Samoa's tourism business operate this way. Klaus, the typical backpacker, well informed about his destination before he arrives through online research, social media and word of mouth from fellow travellers. Like many people from outside of the islands, online bookings and payments are expected in order to be organised in his adventures. After conferring with many Siones and Klauses, we determined that the problem is threefold. Firstly, there's a lack of uptake of trending technologies to enable tourists to directly book with many local operators. Access to information, effective communications, and the ability to execute online bookings and payments was in dire need of an integrated solution. Secondly, the cost of using available technologies is prohibitive for smaller operators, both in terms of resources and the excessive commissions being charged by the dominant online travel agents, who seem to only be interested in high volume, high value hotels and resorts. Finally, there's no single marketplace that tourists can use to book the broad product offerings and experiences available here in beautiful Samoa. The solution we have built is much more than a website. It's an integrated platform that addresses each of the three problems and more. We do this in a manner that does not demand that our supplier partners radically change their business operations, but instead we provide tools and facilities that they're already familiar with to enhance their operation and deliver a world-class service level to tourist customers. Our supplier partners, just like Sione, will be able to compete for online bookings on equal terms with the big operators. Our customer service team will guide and assist in building an appropriate portfolio of products, and our supplier mobile app ensure that they get notified of a booking request and can respond immediately. For tourist customers like Klaus, They gain a platform where almost all of their desired tourism products are offered in one place and are bookable through a trusted platform. We estimate that we have a serviceable market of about 76 million tala annually. Our business model is based around a 10% commission, and with an initial targeted 10% market share, we will return an operating revenue in the first year of 750,000 tala. Our market share is expected to grow to 20% over the first 3 years, resulting in an operating revenue of 1.5 million tala locally. Booking Samoa has emerged from a successful tour and rental business, which have provided funding to date. Since the border closure, we've sought alternative revenue streams from related software development activities. Once the borders reopen, we expect our traditional revenue streams will quickly be surpassed by booking revenues. We're seeking $250,000 US to take Booking Samoa through the initial 18 months and into our initial expansion stage. These funds will be allocated to marketing, hiring and developing local staff, and infrastructure. Our goal is to accelerate development ahead of all the borders opening and to ramp up marketing activities to drive traffic to our platform. For the investor, Booking Samoa represents an opportunity to get on board early and enjoy the returns not only here in Samoa, but also throughout the Pacific and beyond.
Thanks a lot, Kevin, for the presentation.
No worries.
So I leave the floor first to the other jurors. So Stephanie, Ben, if you have any question to Kevin, please feel free to ask.
Or Jeff.
Or Jeff, sorry. Yes.
Hi, Jeff. Well, I'll start. Excellent presentation. I think you really nicely outlined the problem, and it's such a problem, right? I do know that there are lots of problems with mobile money and payment gateways in the Pacific. So my question is about, like, how confident are you that can be solved for your solution?
As far as payment gateways are concerned, we've had discussions with all the banks here. We have a merchant facility locally, but they're not very sophisticated when it comes to implementing gateways. So we've actually been forced to go offshore. We're using a group based out of the UK called Trust My Travel, and they specialise in payment processing for the travel industry, particularly in Europe. It's unfortunate. We have a preference to do everything we possibly can here in Samoa, but the other thing is that the costs associated with processing credit card payments here in Samoa are excessive because of the very low volumes.
And on our end, once the money is here, we transfer to a local bank account, and that's something that online travel agencies don't do. PayPal doesn't work here, Stripe doesn't work here. So basically we get paid, and on the day of travel, so to speak, when somebody arrives at your beach valet or takes your tour, very next day we transfer the funds into Sioni's bank account.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, obviously COVID-19 is the big issue here with starting a tourism business. What's your plan B if borders don't open for another year?
Well, we're confident the borders will open. We're right in the middle of our plan B now. So we officially launched on the 1st of February, and our planned first 3 months was to get out there and sign up supplier partners. We had a very positive initial sign-on, and then the borders closed. And our expectation is that the borders will probably open up here in April. And that coincides pretty much with the traditional dry season, you know, the Australian and New Zealanders getting away from the winter. And I think there will be a pent-up demand, particularly in Australia and New Zealand. And we think that the Pacific is going to be very much a destination of choice We're quietly confident that that things will pick up, fairly strongly.
Yeah, thanks both. Likewise, I thought it was a fantastic presentation. I think it's quite obvious that every country needs an organisation like yours. You're both experts in this area, so I'm sure you know the answer, but what I did want to see is a bit more of an understanding of your target market. And so I'm just sort of wondering if you can unpack that a little bit more. What is the sort of typical traveller that you are targeting, and where are they coming from?
So it's around 80% of travellers to Samoa are from Australia and New Zealand, but of course we're targeting any traveller coming from anywhere outside of Samoa. The thing about Samoa, most people come here after they've been to places like Bali, like Fiji even, in the South Pacific. So most are already looking for something that's a little bit different. That's why they're looking at Samoa. So it really is, it kind of is, the people who want to come to Samoa are already the people that need to come to us, because we will have available all of those smaller places that the big guys don't have available.
I have one more question, and I might pass back to Stephanie, who might have a few more. So my family and I went to Vanuatu last year, incidentally. We went to a lot of the outer islands and we booked an Airbnb. So increasingly we've noticed that this penetration is coming. And I wonder if you do, now that there's going to be greater connectivity coming to Samoa, we know it is, have you got a plan to sort of compete with that or complement that if it does happen?
Well, number one, our cost structure is quite low. So we've kept our commissions low. So we're sharing the profit through lower costs. We call our suppliers partners because we're in it together. Without them, we have no products. Without us, they have no marketing platform. So we really are in it together. We will be ensuring that the highest levels of business practices are being followed in terms of environmental issues and so forth. These are very, very important issues in the islands. There are people who do the wrong thing. We will disengage with them people.
Yeah, that's a great response. And as a potential consumer of what you guys do, that's certainly what I'd be looking for is, how can I provide back to a lot of the customers, partners you have? So yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Well, just on one final note there, the bulk of these businesses that we're engaging with, and it's very typical right across the islands, are small family-owned businesses. So it's, as a tourism consumer, your hard-earned dollars are going to the people that you've come to see, the people that you've come to engage with, the people that would otherwise be invisible because they have no platform to get in front of you.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks a lot and Jeff. Thanks both of you for answering these questions, and I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Take care.
Hi, my name is Brandon Seffel, and my company is Fatsuto Nutrition. I was born and raised in Samoa, and I'm currently living here. My startup offers online nutrition coaching dedicated to bettering the lives of the Pacific people. We are helping local people as well as people abroad through our online nutrition coaching. I think my passion for everything fitness and nutrition drives me also as an entrepreneur, or that's a big part of that. I always want to be the best as what I can do in all aspects of my life. And I see being an entrepreneur as a way to exude that passion. Having Seedstars in Apia gives us great opportunities to learn new skills, and it gives us opportunities for investment and into our businesses and pursue what we want to pursue as entrepreneurs. So I've owned a gym in Samoa for the last 7 years, and in the beginning of that 7 years, it became apparent to me that our people, or a lot of my members, needed advice on nutrition. So it made me aware of the fact that we don't have a lot of nutrition coaching experts on the island or in the region. I don't know if you know, but Samoa has some of the highest rates of obesity and chronic disease in the world. In 2002, chronic disease accounted for 71% of all deaths in all age ranges. And that's 71% of people dying from completely preventable things. Of course, this can be linked to lack of good nutrition advice or poor nutrition, but we feel like this is compounded by the fact that there are very few nutrition coaching experts in the country and region that can apply sound nutrition strategies and knowledge in the third world setting or in Samoa to using our food and our lifestyle. Which brings me to our solution. We offer online nutrition coaching in the context of the Pacific Islands. And using technology, we can reach a wide variety of clients. And our clients will be able to relate to us because we are them. We are locals who have the expertise and the knowledge to apply sound nutrition coaching in the context of their own lives. So on our team is myself, Coach Brandon, and my business partner, Coach Amanda, who is based in Auckland, New Zealand, who works with us part-time. She's also a medical doctor, and she helps us with special cases and certain medical conditions that our clients may have. How our product or how our service works is our clients sign up online or in person at my gym. They'll get assigned a coach, either me or Coach Amanda, and they'll be sent a login link for our third-party app, ProCoach. So we use this app to monitor our clients' progress, to deliver their individualized based nutrition approach and programs, to communicate with them, to track their meals, and be with them throughout the whole 12-week term. In terms of traction, we started about last year, averaging about 2 to 3 new clients per month as we tried to gain our clients' trust and get a bit more awareness of our brand in the market. And based on the success of those clients, we are now averaging 10 to 13 new clients a month, and 2021 looks very good for us. So because of the clients that we were successful with last year, it really brought up our business this year. And these are not only clients in Samoa, but other Samoans overseas and abroad. The majority of our clients, of course, are based in Samoa, and our age demographic is between 24 and 54 years old, which is a population of about 73,000 people. But as our program and our service is online, location is no issue, so we can reach people all around the world. And as you may not know, there are a lot more Samoan people overseas than there are in Samoa, a population of over 400,000 people. So it's safe to assume we can apply to those people. In terms of our competition, our main competition is other local gyms and weight loss challenges and other online nutrition programs and services. But our methodologies differ, so it's not as much of an issue. Our business model is simple. We sign each of our clients up in minimum term coaching terms of 12 weeks in the currency of their choice. After the 12 weeks is done, they can choose to carry on for another 12 weeks. The maximum coaching term we offer is 1 year or 12 months. If after that 12 weeks they feel like they can go along on their own, they totally can. We also get revenue from online ebooks and cookbook sales, as well as speaking engagements and nutrition talks. What investment would mean to us and our brand is to help build our brand awareness and spread our message out more and reach more people. It would help us expand our business and expand our client base. It would help me hire more coaches, which would increase our client capacity. The more coaches we have, the more clients we can kind of take on at one time, because at the moment we cap our clients per month to about 15 to 20, so that quality in coaching isn't lost. And further down the line, in the future, our goal is to move away from the third-party app, ProCoach, and develop our own app, Whatusoa Nutrition app, that really applies that can deliver our coaching method in our own language, using our own local foods and recipes, and have local coaches involved, and be able to train local coaches to deliver our coaching method.
Thank you, Brandon, for the presentation. I'm really passionate, by the way, about the whole nutrition and healthy lifestyle. So I think it's a great solution. Tons of questions. I'll leave the floor first to Stephanie and Ben, and I'll be back to you.
Brandon, thank you so much. I think you did a beautiful and simple pitch. I think, like you said, the best thing about your concept or about your business is you're context specific. You are Samoan, you know what everybody else is struggling with, you know what food is available in the market or in that people are eating, and I think that is crucial. So I think you have a real value add there, like something unique, which is fantastic. Do you offer exercise in the program, or is it just focused on nutrition?
Yeah, our each of our participants do get kind of exercise programs, and then but yeah, it is primarily nutrition.
So well done, great pitch, loved it. You're a walking advertisement for your service. And I'll pass over to Ben.
Yeah, it was a fantastic pitch, and it is a very busy space that you are trying to operate in, particularly with COVID. We know a lot of health businesses are trying to pitch to an online environment or are changing to an online environment now. So one of the questions I had really is around your aspiration to go global and what your focus is around that. It's a very challenging thing to go everywhere. So how will you do that, and what are the steps you will take to sort of go global?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is maybe, as you may know, increasing social media advertising in the kind of global is very expensive. So that would be kind of my first thing, is just driving more to increasing online ads. And that would, because not a lot of locals will pay online, they'll more likely to pay in person. So yeah, that would be my first step, is this increase promotion on social media, I suppose, or drive more resources that way. Get more creative with videos and get better hooks.
Would it be New Zealand and Australia first? Is that sort of the areas that you would focus a lot of your marketing attention?
Yeah, a lot of our overseas clients are New Zealand based and Australia based.
So I think you bring a lot there, and I think you represent that really well. So well done.
Thank you.
Can I just ask how much what's the quantum you're requesting for investment? How much you're looking for?
Yeah, it wasn't really anything between 50 to 100,000 US or wherever I was. That's the part I couldn't really quantify. Any investment would be useful. Use it to hire and train more local coaches, because everything's online now, and then increase advertising, and then maybe outsource a few things, improve the website, other things like that.
Okay, perfect. So I just have another question. As I was mentioning before, I love this sort of solutions on nutrition and exercise. So the first thing is, since you said you provide also exercise trainings sort of thing, is it also for people who stay at home, I suppose?
Yeah, so we have a gym-based exercise program and exercise program that each of our clients get.
Perfect, amazing. And a question that I had, so you mentioned you keep it to 15 to 20 customers per month to make sure that the quality, right? So how much actually, how many direct interactions happen over this course?
Like with my clients, so they're pretty much every day they're updating me on their progress, or they're taking photos of their meals, and I'll check in with each of them twice a week, so Mondays and Fridays. That's really how we work, just to keep engagement up. And then with the ones who aren't engaging back as much, we'll kind of keep trying.
Okay, that's a lot of engagement. Okay, thanks a lot for the pitch again. Good luck with everything, and thanks a lot for being here with us.
What a great start to the competition. Before we see the remaining pitches, let's remind ourselves of what happened at last year's competition.
My company is SmartPay. I'm trying to enable access for the Pacific Island people to be able to buy and sell online.
So EMD is events, marketing and distribution. The company focuses on all events management coordination, innovative marketing services, and then distribution.
So the problem that we're trying to solve is the unequal access to reproductive healthcare services for women in Samoa. So the solution that we're offering is the Hadassah mobile app, which is a women's reproductive health app.
Traditional accountants don't know how to really deliver advisory services. Our solution that's going to be is to create a software where they have like 10 key questions where they can ask, and then they'll be able to generate the problems that the client may have, and then a solution for each problem.
I've learned a lot through Seedstar. One thing that really caught me was product fit and the buyer persona, and I think that's the benefit of Seedstar. They really help you focus your product.
We've been able to really drill down with the mentors. So for us, I think the mentor sessions have been one of the best benefits for us. We've really ironed out exactly what our problem is and what our solution can be, and how we can build that out into a scalable model that we can launch across not just New Zealand and Samoa, but across pretty much the whole globe.
Perhaps one of the most difficult things about being an entrepreneur here, especially a social entrepreneur, is funding. Trying to get started with capital and networking. If you're not already part of the business community and you're just starting out and you don't know where to go for that help, it can be quite difficult.
Very exciting to be here today and to be able to participate and to watch all these great people with their ideas. It really aligns with the aid program that we have here in Samoa, which is about empowering people and giving them their ability to be able to accomplish economically worthwhile things here in Samoa. So the great thing about Seedstars and GSMA is it has given entrepreneurs the opportunity to present their ideas, to come up with new innovative things that they wish to do to assist the people of Samoa.
If you've never been to Samoa, one of the exciting things about setting up business here is that there's such a huge market and an unmet need, and there's so much space for you to be creative.
A country that's really moving forward, like in terms of development, and there's some really good entrepreneurs here in Samoa, real great success stories.
The quality of startups were surprisingly good. The founders were surprisingly coachable. And I think that Samoa has a lot more to offer the world. At the end of the day, we had to pick the startup that best represents what Samoa can be, and I think we chose well.
Shout out to Kong and GSMA, Seedstar, everybody that made this this event happen. So I'm really humbled. I was, I didn't expect to win. I'm just really privileged and excited for the next phase.
Hi, my name is Toa Brown and I'm representing Guiltless Meats. I was born and raised in Samoa. I currently hail from the villages of Lauala and Puipa'a. Guiltless Meats is a 100% plant-based chicken and beef alternative. It addresses the problem with the beef industry and climate change, as well as with food consumption. As more millennials and people are becoming health conscious and making healthier choices, we are trying to help those who are trying to move into that direction of making sustainable, healthy eating choices, and this is a possible way to move towards that direction. Joining Seedstar, I hoped to achieve getting mentorship from experts in the business environment, as well as people who have done investments for quite a long time, as well as to connections to local people who could possibly help build the brand to the next stage. What drives me as an entrepreneur is to see change as well as the impact of what this brand could do for consumers, especially since it helps motivate people into healthier lifestyles.
Talofa, my name is To'a Brown. I love meat, but I hate the fact it's at the expense of our environment as well as my health. I found out about the effects of the meat industry on our environment, the main cause of deforestation and its contribution to greenhouse gases, and not to mention animal cruelty in 2017 in Feb, through a documentary called Cowspiracy and What the Health. Based off this, I decided to completely go vegetarian, cut off all meat products. I wanted to make healthier choices and have less of a carbon footprint. This is when I started experimenting with making a 100% plant-based patty, and this is how Guiltless Meat was born. Because of Guiltless Meat, I felt like I wasn't compromising or missing out on a traditional beef burger. Also, because of Guiltless Meat, I was able to sustain becoming a vegetarian for 1.5 years during my time and study in New Zealand. So, problem. The beef industry is one of the biggest contributors to greenhouse gases such as methane, and especially the main contributor to deforestation. The reason is simple. Beef is a more resource intensive compared to other foods. According to FAO, 50% of the total global greenhouse gas emissions comes from agricultural land use, where 45% comes from meat production. This was in 2006, so you can imagine how this has significantly increased due to the demand in beef meats and higher rates of food consumption. Secondly, Samoa suffers some of the highest rates of obesity, heart rates, and diabetes in the world. Samoa's main source of protein comes from chicken and beef. However, according to a Harvard Medical School study, it has been found processed meat products contain high levels of additives and chemicals that contribute to a higher risk of heart diseases. Our solution is Guiltless Meats. It is a 100% plant-based product, a 100% plant-based beef and chicken substitute for those that find giving up a beef burger is hard, but want to have a low carbon footprint. Consumers nowadays are wanting to make healthier choices and have less of an environmental impact. Guiltless Meats is both a product and service-based. We see the challenge faced globally when it comes to food consumption and environmental impact, especially of the beef industry. As more consumers are becoming more health and environmental conscious, we offer solutions where consumers can enjoy guilt-free and not compromise on taste, flavor, and a plus 10% more nutritional value than actual meat. Our target market, or the serviceable obtainable market, is towards expats. According to the expats Facebook page, there's approximately 7,500 members in Samoa. Secondly, health-conscious parents. A lot of our customers in July and August saw a big value and benefit for their kids when they ate Guiltless burgers. Kids just thought it was a standard beef burger. And thirdly, to millennials. Our serviceable obtainable market is at 20K. Our serviceable available market is at 60K. 60K in terms of the population, and total available market, which accounts for all of the 3 target markets that you see on the screen, is at 120K. Our local competition compared to other vegan patties as well as burgers is that it mimics the beef and chicken flavor, and it would be a lot cheaper compared to buying mince or beef patties at retail level. Our business model is very simple. It is through transactions and sales. Pay and order, or order and pay. Currently, we are at a small-scale implementation phase. My vegetarian lifestyle completely went out the window when I returned to Samoa in 2018 and went back to meat consumption. Simply, there are not a lot of options when I returned. So in July 2000 this year, I recreated the recipe I made back in uni for my personal consumption. However, family and friends also tried it out and were surprised given that the flavor does mimic and has that beefy taste. All of the marketing has been through hearsay and returning customers. With that said, since establishment, we have had a 26% in revenue from July and August. We are currently on hold due to work commitments. My team consists of myself, founder, as well as my sister, who deals with a lot of the finance as well as the record keeping. Our ask is for 100K USD. This is for 1 to 2 full years operations, and also with help with connections to the right people to talk to in terms of local retailers, manufacturers, wholesalers, and importantly, mentorship. The breakdown of where this 100K would of where it would go would be in operations, marketing, as well as further development. Thank you, and Faftailava.
Thank you so much, Toa, for the presentation. That's definitely like an interesting industry to get in. I guess that you heard about Beyond Meat and all these new players in the US who are trying to achieve the same. So the first question that I have for you is specifically related to hearing about Beyond Meat. They're spending a lot of money into trying to mimic the texture and the taste of real beef and chicken. So I wanted to know from your side about Guiltless Meats. Where do you stand on this? How you have, what you have achieved so far? And also related to this, the nutritional value of your product at the moment.
So yes, that was a lot of the questions we had during the startup in July was, oh, this sounds very similar to Beyond Meat, to Impossible Meat. So the idea with how we were able to mimic the taste, I don't want to give out any secrets, was basically through liquid iron. So, and the main product that we do use is soybeans. However, the problem with sourcing it locally is there's not a lot of people that grow it locally in Samoa. So most of the products that we do use is obtained or purchased from overseas in New Zealand, mainly New Zealand. So it was through there that I was thinking, not only would this be a good product, but also a way to kind of open up a market, for example, soybeans, to be used, if it grows, to be used for the overall the consumers in Samoa who are really interested in giving a product that is similar, mimics the taste of beef, has that beefy taste, but has more nutritional value. What I say by nutritional value is that we grow, what I've noticed or what I've researched was a lot of the soybeans we do grow, it's used as feeds to the cattle industry, to feed cattle. But as compared to the health implications of, for example, beef on our environments, as I mentioned earlier, the obesity rate, a lot of Samoans consume meat products, for example, corned beef. So because of that, it really does have a high implication in our health. It increases the risk of heart diseases. So compared to eating for example, soybeans, which is the majority of what our product is made of, as to our standard beef, it does, when you compare both, it does make a big difference as to, I'm not sure if that answers the question, but yes.
Mm-hmm. Just to follow up on this, so how long does it take for you to actually make this this product? How time consuming it is, and secondly, on the margin side of things, since you have to actually import it from New Zealand, what are your margins at the moment?
So in terms of importing, it roughly takes, depending on the shipment that it comes on. So it could take, for example, in July, when I first started out, I had to do the orders in June. So it roughly took probably, I think, 3 weeks in total. So it does take time. So which is why I want to tap into this on a local scale down the line. But for the time being, since there's not a lot of, there's not a big market, for example, soybeans in Samoa, it does have to be imported from overseas. So from the time the shipment arrives and the preparation doesn't take too much time. It can be done roughly within less than 30 minutes. It's just compiling all of the ingredients together. And then, yeah, you can just make it like your normal beef burger as you normally would. It's just compiling all the ingredients, which is a bit time consuming, I would say, but making it overall, it's just compiling all the ingredients, like how, yeah, like you're baking, for example.
Yeah, thanks very much for that presentation. It was fantastic. I mean, this is a really future-ready business. That's what I like about it. This is going to be a growing market, whether you're a meat eater or not. I think we all have to acknowledge that. So I think that's really exciting. I think one of the biggest challenges with an FMCG business is supply and production. You have mentioned some of your supply challenges. Can you talk a little bit about your production facilities and how you go about doing that? If you were to get a lot of demand for your product, how would you meet that demand?
Thank you very much for the question, Ben. Yes, I see the big value in thinking about these things ahead. At the moment, since we are really small scale, we are doing this from home. So the idea is probably down the line to kind of probably rent out a factory, not a factory, but like a warehouse kind of where we can kind of package it in a sense. So not only in terms of getting it ready, but also the packaging. So it kind of has a good shelf line if we're looking to do it at retail level. Not only that, we're also looking at probably as a service, not only running it from home, as we are currently selling the burgers from home as from families and friends that are really interested, and we have had a lot of returning customers. So the idea is to probably have both like a manufacturing factory or like a wholesale, and also like an outlet where we can definitely sell up to the wider public within Samoa. So it's just getting to that stage, and for that needs funding and money. So I think that's where we, we were hoping to ask for the 100K USD was to kind of get those steps moving. But I can see down the line, probably in the next 5 months, if we continue doing this, if we get more sales and revenue, we will probably look to pushing this ourselves if it comes to the higher demand. It's just the supply that would be a bit difficult, is pre-ordering a lot of this stuff, most definitely.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Nice to meet you, and a fantastic pitch. I was vegetarian for a long time and I've relapsed, but I do prefer to buy the sort of Beyond Meat, Impossible Meat products, which you find in Australia a lot more often now in the major supermarkets. So there is definitely a growing market for it. My question is about the soybeans. A lot of the products that we find in Australia are now being made out of pea protein, and I wanted to know whether you had investigated any of that.
Okay, I haven't actually done any research into the pea proteins. So aside from soy that we use, we also use the powdered potato protein as kind of like a binder for the overall meat. So the idea is, I think hearing that now, I think that's a good thing to look back into some research and see if it's possible to implicate into next, stages of research and see if it will be definitely possible. Given, exactly, I am aware that soybean growth has been a cause for some of the deforestation in the world, but I see it as a sense because they use mainly soybeans for cattle, like for cattle feed and for other livestock feed. So why not use that same soy in terms of our own meat instead of having to go through the cattle and then we have to. So it's kind of like that cycle, which is why I'm looking towards soybeans.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Toa, for the presentation. So good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Yes, so you hear from us very soon.
My name is Teresa Poe, and I'm the founder of TaskMai. I'm from the villages of Mota'a, Si'umu, and Nuatoanu'u, but I grew up overseas in the States. So TaskMai is an on-demand service platform. It's a social venture aiming to tackle recent COVID redundancies through offering casual employment. So this startup is really for our recent redundancies in the tourism and hospitality sectors that we're seeing, and also the increasing youth unemployment rates due to COVID. My drive is really all about the innovation. There's so much opportunities to be creative and to give back to our communities in really meaningful ways. So TaskMai is an early startup, so I'm learning from everyone, and it's been really great at this event to dialogue with the other participants and also expanding my networks and building my own capacity in this space. By now, we have heard and seen countless stories of COVID-19 and this new normal that we're actively experiencing. And even though Samoa is currently COVID-free, we are far from exempt. So today I'll share with you our story. Talofa lava, my name is Teresa Poe, and I'm the founder of TaskMai. So it's safe to say that Samoa's tourism industry has and will continue to be severely impacted in the coming months.
given that the pandemic is still ongoing and the aftermath of this is untelling. This comes right off the bat from our recent measles epidemic in November 2019 that resulted in our country declaring a state of emergency status, the cancellation of numerous events, and more than 80 deaths. So it was only a few months later that we find ourselves back under state of emergency and in the midst of this pandemic. This is the problem that we're facing. Studies have shown that the most affected employee age groups to undergo redundancies were between 20 and 40 years old. This illustrates the implications this has on youth unemployment. And for context, Samoa's youth are more likely to be unbanked, with 70% of Samoa's young adults excluded from from using any financial services. So this means that our youth have a clear lack of access to savings and credit. And combine this with the rising youth unemployment, Samoa, we're joining the global trend, proving that COVID has exacerbated these pre-existing vulnerabilities. And this is impacting women as well. Samoan women are traditionally the recipients of overseas remittances. And with its decline, this is impacting the steady income that Samoan households previously received. Here are some further statistics to illustrate how COVID is impacting the livelihoods in our Samoan households. So time for some good news. You know, with the issues that COVID is bringing, it's also a time of opportunity. And our solution for this problem begins with income generation. For those finding themselves being made redundant or having reduced hours, our business can assist with short-term recovery opportunities through casual employment. Growing up overseas, I've always had a job since I was really young. You know, it was very common for students to have an after-school job or a job during the summers. But in my experience in Samoa, that mentality is not shared amongst our Samoan youth. So with our platform, our young people can gain soft skills like leadership, communication, honesty, punctuality. These skills they can develop through TaskMy and carry with them in their future endeavors. Lastly, it's clear that there's been so much growth in ICT since March, and our business capitalizes on this momentum. So introducing TaskMy. It's an on-demand service platform ready to help with your everyday needs, connecting Samoa's community of recently redundant skilled labor for easy, convenient, and reliable service solutions. Now, these are very early days for TaskMy. Right now, we are focused on collecting research to better understand our value to society and identify our user base, as this is a marketplace model. Once our users are identified and therefore their skill sets and vetted, we will select 1 to 2 functions to start off with so that we can get our product to market. We're looking at a commission-based model at the start. Now onto our team. At the moment, I am the founder. I bring to the company an extensive research background, some experience with coding and app development, and years of customer service. But I'm looking for a co-founder. I want someone who's a financial genius, very adept in running businesses. Now they ask. I'm looking for mentorship so that I can continue to learn, grow, and fundraise. So if you or someone you know would like to get involved in a project like this, as either an advisor or a co-founder, I invite you to get in touch with me. I'm also looking for 100K US to start us off. In sum, TaskMy is dedicated to ensuring the sustainability of our communities by offering income generation through casual employment during these unprecedented times.
Thanks all for your pitch, Teresa. That was great, a great presentation. So I see that so TaskMy is still in the idea stage.
Yes, we're weeks old, I will say.
Oh wow, okay, newborn, amazing. So what kind of customers have you identified for this business in terms of what kind of businesses would you sign up for this platform?
Sure. So in terms of users, that's what I'm trying to focus on now, who exactly would be the users. But given that I'm also considering our youth unemployment, we typically don't have very many skills. And so the task that they would be able to service would be something similar. So I've thought about grocery shopping delivery. In COVID, with SOEs, some of the issues that we're facing is business operating hours are limited to 7 p.m. on the weekdays, only 4 hours on a Sunday afternoon. And also, in general, we're experiencing inconsistencies in inventory due to our SID status, and then also, of course, the closure of our borders. So if that is the task that I put to market first, grocery shopping markets, I would look to partner with our grocery stores or our franchises so that we can develop different types of revenue streams as opposed to just commission, but looking into markups with busy peak hours or the number of items they would order or during the holidays or the weekends, stuff like that too, as a starting point. But at the moment, because the functions, the services, especially if the skilled labor, we haven't yet identified, but then we'll figure that as we go. But for youth, that's one idea of a function or a service we can start.
Thank you.
Hi, Teresa. Thank you. Beautiful presentation. Great slides. You're a very engaging presenter. So thanks for your pitch. And I can't believe that this is only weeks old. It's actually looks very well thought out. So I've got a couple of questions. Are you envisioning it will work similarly to the platforms that we have like in Australia and the US, like Airtasker? So could I, as an individual, say, oh, I really need someone to mow my lawn, and people can apply for that job? Is that also a function of the platform?
Yes, exactly. I'm not familiar with Airtasker, but I do know of TaskRabbit. So, in the growth stage, we would love to offer more functions, more services, expanding to allow, we have a extensive expat community, or even our working people to be able to do a side hustle of sorts. We would love it to, at the moment, start off supporting those who are most affected with COVID, but eventually become more of a freelance app to provide opportunities of income generation. And I guess as a millennial myself, I'm really attached to helping our young people or our students. So being able to provide them a way to earn money and, the potential of breaking intergenerational poverty through income generation. These are all the things that I would love TaskMy to grow into.
And how would people pay to access the soft skills? Would that be like a subscription model, or is that provided free to get them onto the platform?
I think it would be free because I'm trying to figure that part out. But if they were to be on the platform, I would have to do due diligence to make sure that the services that they offer are meeting a certain standard. So essentially, I would train them or have them be trained in certain skills so that we set a bar or as a brand. So through working with us and your continual use of the program, if you are assigned tasks, you can continue to develop those skills of customer service, of communication, etc.
Yeah, I'm thinking, partnerships with TVET and, skills development type organizations could be interesting for you.
Exactly. And, if those are already vetted, it's a great stream of who could be a user. So these are types of the partnerships that I'm thinking about at the moment.
Great. And how would a commission model work?
I'm not too sure. I think it'll make sense more when I identify what exactly the service is. And then of course, when I get my co-founder who's great at numbers, that will only further improve the revenue stream. So a commission model is just my understanding of what is possible that I could do a 10% perhaps depending on what exactly the service is and what, you know, it's priced at, etc. So, yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Over to you, Ben.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was fantastic. I guess as a developer yourself, you can probably appreciate just how complex it is to take a product like this from ideation through to MVP, but then to actually launch it into a profitable business. How long have you allowed yourself to actually be profitable? Have you thought about that as well, or is it more around the development ecosystem that you're concentrating on right now?
Yeah, it's more around the development ecosystem, but I'm also trying to understand our minimum success criteria at the 3-year mark, potentially. Looking at considering our population, you know, targeting our youth, our tourism, and then, you know, just general population. The number that I've written in my learnings is $1 million tala by 3 years. I'm not too sure if I was ready to release that. I'm still figuring out if that's feasible, because, you know, it's still early days. I don't know exactly what service I'm offering, or I don't know what price I'm at. So yeah. Yeah,
the reality is the only way to find out the price of these things is to keep asking these questions. So keep doing that. Yeah, the average profitability point for these types of products is around 5 years. So lots of really big questions here for you to consider. But I think broadly speaking, it's a great idea. It's got legs and it can work. It's about the ecosystem and how you do it that you do need to think about. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the pitch, Teresa.
Thank you.
Our time is up. So great presentation again. Thanks a lot. And yeah, you'll be hearing from us very soon.
Talofa, my name is Brigita Farfiti. I'm a lawyer from Farfiti Lotam Law Firm in Apia, Samoa. I was born in Samoa, I was raised in New Zealand, have had work experience in Australia and New Zealand, and currently live in Levi Samoa. And my villages here are Malai Malu and Falealili, Suana'i, and Levi Samoa. My startup aims to provide a dedicated research database for lawyers and the judicial system here in Samoa. What I'm hoping to achieve is twofold. First of all, to explain the relevance and the importance of why a bit legal is needed in our jurisdiction. And secondly, to obtain a good network and interest in a bit legal so that we can continue to be supported and grow. As an entrepreneur, what drives me is my family. My parents, my grandparents made sacrifices for me to be here today. And I want to make a difference in Samoa so that my children can also proudly call themselves Samoan and have a legacy to look up to. I'm grateful for Seedstars as it provides the benefits of being able to have a platform where we launch our ideas and get mentoring and information that will help us grow and actually make these dreams and plans into reality.
Talofa, kia ora, bonjour, g'day. My name is Brigita Farfiti. I am a legal practitioner and the owner of Farfiti Lotam Law Firm here in Apia, Samoa. We are a practice with a purpose. We strive to deliver quality legal services that will provide a real difference to the way law is appreciated by citizens, public servants, and legal practitioners alike. The rule of law is a principle which basically means no one is above the law. All citizens within a country are held accountable to the laws of that country. Laws are required to be enforced equally, consistently, and with regard to internationally accepted principles of human rights. While studying, and even up until now, my father constantly reminds me there's a difference from being a lawyer and being a great lawyer. In my 10 years of legal practice across 3 different countries, I have come to appreciate the level of skill and advocacy is what differentiates a lawyer from a great one. Advocating for the rule of law is enhanced by having resources of legislation and case laws available to legal practitioners to research, analyze, comprehend, and then apply or distinguish based on the issue. This informed advocacy contributes to the development of countries' jurisprudence. The major global player in this area of online legal analytics is LexisNexis and Westlaw. Since this diagram was published in 2017, LexisNexis has gone on to expand to 14 other African nations. As you can see, both Lexis and Westlaw cover Samoa's bigger sisters, Australia and New Zealand. But there is no presence in the Pacific, no dedicated, comprehensive, online legal research database exists in Samoa or her Pacific neighbours. However, the University of the South Pacific provides what I like to say a raw database with the ability to access text-only legislation and cases. But with all due respect, this database is not comprehensive and provides little ease and efficiency to the end user. And let's face it, getting a lawyer, time is money. A Bit Legal is the solution. A Bit Legal is designed to be a comprehensive online legal research database that provides legislation and case law with the added value of reliable legal analysis and commentary. Samoan jurisdiction is our main focus at present, with the potential to reach out to other countries within our Pacific region. The name A Bit Legal is a tribute to past and future influences of sharing legal information. The AB is an abbreviation inspired by Anthony Fitzherbert's 1544 publication, Le Grand Abridgment, which is credited as the first methodical collection of case law that summarized English jurisprudence and went on to guide common law collections thereafter. And of course, the IT stands for Information Technology, which is the platform used to share these legal resources. Therefore, A Bit Legal acts as the abridgment of what we currently have with PACLI to what we need, a comprehensive online legal platform that makes research efficient. A Bit Legal is aimed at as a direct market model. The database is to be housed and powered by Farfiti Lotam and directly accessed by customers through a user portal. A researcher or user will obtain access depending on their subscription type, so basic, advanced, or premium. They will have access to certain online research resources in a particular area of law. In terms of ensuring traction, we have set ourselves a minimum success criteria to be achieved within 3 years of at least 1.3 million Samoan tala, the equivalent of $500,000 US. This planned projection is premised on the need to obtain a minimum of 163 customers over the 3 years, subscribing at a minimum of 8,000 tala per annum, or $3,100 US. That works out roughly to about 660 Samoan tala, which, given our customer surveillance to date, this is an affordable cost to private law firms in Samoa. The key collaborators in this mission to make A Bit Legal a reality is currently sitting at 3 members. A Bit Legal co-founder Leolua Inofo Tuioti Aitofele is also my husband and my partner of 17 years. Tuioti is responsible for management of all logistics and budget in our project. June Risatisoni is an administrative assistant, a wife and mother of 2. June works remotely from her village and is responsible for the collation of the raw data for the database development. And I myself is the project leader and advocate for A Bit Legal, its systems, its benefits, and take the responsibility to ensure its success. In order to achieve the full potential that A Bit Legal holds, we need to expand our team. We need a technical designer and developer to work with us to develop the database and manage it as we grow. We need to obtain a legally trained and skilled editors to ensure that the commentary and analysis is reliable and accurate. And we also need to ensure that this is a sustainable project by surrounding ourselves with like-minded business people to continually network and develop our business idea. Therefore, I am seeking investment into skills, into expertise and time to the value of 100,000 US dollars to collaboratively grow A Bit Legal with my team. A bit legal, a bit smart, a real solution. Paftai, thank you for your attention. And as we say in court, as your honor pleases.
Thank you so much, Brigita, for the presentation. And I will leave the floor first to the other jurors, and I'll ask you also a couple of questions. So Stephanie or Ben, who wants to start?
That was such a good idea. I love this. So how can you guarantee, for example, if I need to access step-by-step local labour laws for Samoa, that information is in there as an investor? And I guess the reverse question to that is, who specifically are you targeting? Because law is, there's a lot of layers to that cake.
Thanks for the question, Ben. The reality is law is always changing, and the beauty of A Bit Legal is that we're actually initially targeting the lawyers in Samoa and our judicial system, our judges as well. In fact, before I came to our pitch today, I was lucky enough to have an audience with one of the Supreme Court judges who gave us feedback that this is not only going to be beneficial for in-country solicitors, but also foreign investors as well. So what it would do is analyse, for example, your labour laws. It would have the labour laws up there. Currently, PACLI has the law there, but it's just the law. There's no commentary on how the law has been applied in Samoa, what you need, where you need to go, how you need to do it. So sometimes getting a lawyer here, they can give you all that advice. But if you wanted to do it on your own or have your own lawyer in your own jurisdiction, they could easily access this information and see the analysis and the commentary around those legislations. And what we aim to do is build on it. So not only will it have the legal database, but we will have editors and personnel constantly on it that you can flick through questions, kind of like what you have on apps at the moment. You just say, I need to find this, and then we have a live person being able to respond to your queries. So that is something that we look at expanding on. But in terms of the database itself, it's having the legislation there, an analysis of how case law or how that legislation has been provided, and then of course some helpful links of where you should go if you're a foreign investor in Samoa. Added value to that is the ability to be linked with speciality lawyers by having them have profiles on our network and be able to link in that way. Samoa is kind of a small jurisdiction as well, so we can't be experts at everything.
All right, I've got a couple of quick ones. Maybe we've got time for more from you, Ben. So I guess my question is around the accuracy of the commentary. Who's providing advice? Like, would you only be allowing registered lawyers, trained lawyers to be providing that commentary, and who's going to do the quality assurance of the sort of commentary that's on there?
The credibility of this database is premised on it having people with high level experience, very well-trained legal minds to be able to cover this. And we have those expertise in Samoa. We have retired judges and even lecturers as well. And we have practitioners who are all very well-trained and capable to be able to offer this kind of service. And initially, that might be who we look at. But we currently, at the moment, in terms of getting our MVP up, I'm doing the commentaries and having that reviewed through my networks, but who have had a lot of experience. But as we progress, and like I said, I did meet with one of the Supreme Court judges, and he had some suggestions of networking with other Pacific Islanders or other Samoan lawyers overseas who might be able to offer support in that area. So
fantastic, thank you. Ben, back to you if you have more questions.
Yeah, one question I do have is, I'm wondering, what's your plan about prioritising what content you do put in? And have you done a market analysis to sort of work out what the sort of most demand information actually is that people require?
Yeah, the majority of cases going through court are criminal jurisdiction and lands and titles, so our cultural aspects. The interesting thing with the lands and titles is that the decisions are actually not available on any platform. And so in terms of advocating for a rule of law and being able to have access to decisions and the transparency of decisions, currently that's a challenge for us here. So the areas that we have started to concentrate in terms of developing our database so far have been in terms of sentencing, criminal sentencing, and of the prevalent offences here in Samoa, like rape, theft as a servant, and ABH, GBH, actual bodily harm and grievous bodily harm. So we've started in those particular areas because those are the predominantly the ones that we see the most, and also the ones that we've seen quite a huge development in our jurisprudence over the last few years. And I refer back to my His Honour that I spoke to this morning. He's actually saying, in fact, there hasn't been a comprehensive analysis for something as simple as a sentencing on discharge without conviction. And the law that has been developed so far is currently a little bit messy. So having an analysis of that would then be able to focus lawyers on making sure that we establish what is it for Samoa that we want in that area of law, and then we advocate that to judges in order for them to be informed and make their decisions.
Who can access the database? Do you envisage that anyone that could pay the subscription would have access to it?
Yes, so Samoa has about 31 ministries, 169 registered legal practitioners. But then we also get the odd overseas practitioner that comes into practice law here, or we have interested lawyers from overseas, like Ben was mentioning, other people wanting to know our laws. So yes, there would be a subscription-based model to be able to access the database, but there will also be a freemium sort of setup. So the raw, just the basic cases and the basic legislation that's currently available, but not comprehensive. So we want to make sure that we cover all of that. For example, just the other day, I was looking for our traffic amendment laws that were only done in 2015. They're not up on our Parliament website, they're not up on our PACLI website, they're not up on the SAMLI website. And so when you're trying to defend a traffic ticket of a client and you can't even access the law, then there's quite a long, arduous task to go and look for it. So we want a bit legal to be that solution. We want it to be able to allow people to have that free access to the legislation, to the case law. That value added stuff is where we get the subscriptions.
Perfect. That sounds like an excellent idea. Really awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brigita. So we're out of time, so you're free to go. You're free to go now. Thanks a lot again for the presentation and the great pitch.
Talofa, my name is Ronnie Wong-Soon, and the name of the business that I pitched is Business Samoa Design. I was born at Bangyangi, and I am currently living in Nutfo. This village is far away from town, and that is why I pitched for this idea. Design will help small businesses and medium enterprises to ship their products and their services that they want to offer to the public. And it's like an app platform that will deliver the products to your doorsteps, and we would like to launch it as soon as possible, as COVID has impacted a lot of businesses. I'm looking at the locals for a first startup, and then I will target the urban areas and then throughout the rural areas. And in our vision, we would like to help the Pacific as well, as I know that we all have the same problems in terms of no platforms at all for online deliveries. And not only that, we want to help out with the youth nowadays to try and integrate with the new technology. It actually hits me the most when I saw a lot of shops being closed, especially during busy trading hours, and they're not allowed to open because of the restrictions. And this has gave me something that I should try out and maybe help the public with their tradings. So this platform not only allow you to trade, but it's a 24-hour services. So not only you will get your normal revenue, but you will actually earn more from the 24-hour services we offer. First of all, you might be thinking, why am I showing this shop in front of you? Well, that's a shop in our local community, and it's closed. And you might be thinking, what is going on here? And that is why I'm here. Samoa is COVID-free, but our government has provided restrictions so that we will not allow any business to trade within their normal operating hours. So supermarkets are closed at 7 p.m. All businesses are closed on Sundays, and only shops and supermarkets can operate around 3 p.m. And that has caused a lot of problems. Well, and I come up with the solution, and that is called design. This is my actual second implementation. The first one is called Business Samoa, and this one is, I put in the name Business Samoa Design, meaning you have to decide and signal. We launched, Business Samoa was launched in 2019, but the problem is we relied most of the products we have to bring in from overseas. So the problem is people cannot able to provide these products anymore since COVID-19. So now we're on to our second implementation, which is called design. So once you decide on an order, make sure you signal us. So you order and we deliver it. So that is basically design. Right. So the problem is there's no online shopping for SMEs and no delivery services available locally. So the second problem that we have, the shops and supermarket had lost most of their revenue ever since the lockdown. So even the customers are highly affected. They will have to wait until shops are opened. And right, so we came up with the solution of a mobile app, and where customers can buy goods from local SMEs, and we can deliver it to their homes. So both of these designs, we will have it available. And the market size we're looking at, we have a population, a total of 198,000. So that's the total available market that we have. And smartphone owners, we estimated around 100,000. That's from our estimation from the Business Samoa platform. And about 20,000, the serviceable available market, meaning that there are a lot of people using our e-commerce platform before the COVID. And then that's the design of our products. Firstly, you have to register. We have to verify if you are an actual genuine customer. And once you place your order on the platform, and then you can book design, and that's where we can come and deliver. So these are the available platforms that we can use. The local one is provided by Vodafone, and maybe we can use PayPal in the future. And once the product is delivered and payments are all successful, and then we just put a success, and that's where we get our commission from. So these are the revenue generators for us. Once you place your orders, you know how the customers are paying for the orders for the businesses. These are the SMEs. So we get at least 5% of it. But the delivery and everything that we do for deliveries is 100%. But we won't charge that much since Samoa is still in our business is still in a startup. So attraction. We're looking at a monthly revenue of 20,000 tala. As I mentioned, we launched in 2019 for Business Samoa, and we managed to secure 4,000 per month. But in March, we have to make sure, we have to close it down due to border restrictions. But the growth rates, we're looking at 10%. The growth rates for Business Samoa was actually growing, but then more features we're adding in, and for design, we have to make sure that the product is make sure it's updated, able to update its features and functionalities. So not only we're looking at a secure platform, as well as a user-friendly platform. So that is my team. That is myself. I've been working in IT tech for 9 years now. I'm a database expert. I've been developing databases for the government of Samoa up until now. I'm also a website developer. I've been developing a lot of the local websites, and my wife, Hazel, we've been working together in our current business, which is Business Samoa, and we've been doing it for 4 years with other our local businesses as well. And she's a good business advisor. So our ask is not that much, since we've been looking at it as an extension for Business Samoa, and it's we're looking at only 30,000 in funds to fully develop our products, so that we can make sure that everything's function properly. And we also want to hire new staff. And the other thing that we're looking at is marketing campaign. We really want to push this out as a product for SMEs, maybe push the revenues as well during the times of the lockdown. Thank you very much. And that is from Business Samoa Design.
Thank you so much, Ronnie, for the presentation. The first question that I have is just a clarification. You said that this is sort of an extension of the other business you have, which is Business Samoa?
Yep. Business Samoa is an e-commerce website.
Okay, perfect. So I have a question about the competition. Is there any competitors now in the space, in Samoa, in this space?
Yes, so far we only have 2 major ones. And I think that's called Seki Eats and Samoa Market, and that's under one owner.
Okay, and in terms of, you said that the COVID, of course, has impacted your operations, obviously. And before COVID, in terms of figures, how many registered users were we talking about? If you could give us some numbers about the numbers of orders that you had,
yes,
daily, weekly basis.
The first 4 months that we operated, I think we secured around 85 customers, and they were just the local ones. So this 85 customers, in 1 month, we generated 4,000 tala. We're talking about tala, so estimate around 2,000 New Zealand dollars. So in March, we decided to just put it in a pause mode, since most of the products were from overseas.
Okay, amazing. Thanks a lot.
So great pitch, thank you. I have a question. Is Samoa Marketplace the one that's run by SkyEye?
No, that's a different. That is run by Wally Scanning.
Okay. So great that Samoa has its own payment gateway with Vodafone. I think that can be a real challenge for online businesses in other countries and other markets. Your value add here is that you are going to be solving the problem for the SMEs and the shopkeepers who already have products, but
Yes.
it's not convenient for people to get there. Okay, and so that's different to your other market, your e-commerce platform, which was selling products from overseas, shipping them in and then delivering. So, okay, so that's clear. And is that the same business model that your competitors are doing?
No, my competitors, I think they're mostly focused on the, the wholesales. And
Okay.
the other one is doing food.
Oh, like
So-
a Uber Eats sort of.
But there's no platform for the small shops. So I want to have the small shops and the medium businesses to deliver their products.
All right, awesome. So that's good. Now it's much clearer now that you are filling a gap with potentially not really many competitors, if you can get a lot of the small shops and medium shops to sign up. So I'm thinking about your delivery costs and your delivery staff. Will you be localizing those in that, if someone's ordering from very close, you have a fleet of young people on bicycles, or, to keep your costs down? I'm wondering how you're going to manage the costs of delivery.
Yes, for delivery, I'm planning to use up my cars. I already have 3 cars at the moment. So I'm planning to use it for the time being, just to start off with the product.
Yeah, thanks for that. That great presentation. Really appreciate that. I just wanted to confirm the mobile app. What state is that in now? Is that completely developed and that just needs new features, or is it a blank slate?
We actually haven't worked on the app at the moment, but we're planning to, once we, if we can get funding, we can start implementing it.
So that's not just you that will be developing the app. Will you outsource that, and you will support it, or is that something that you would be confident doing yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm confident on doing it. I've been taking a lot of extra courses for apps developments, even websites as well.
And have you thought about design as well and how you manage that process? So technology.
Well, at the moment, I haven't thought about the design, but the only thing that I'm looking at is the payment gateway first, since that will be a challenging one. So those are the things I have to look at first before I actually do the designs and everything.
Yeah, great. The other thing I was just wondering if you've thought about is brand. And I think this presentation really popped if it had a clearer brand presence around the product that you're trying to develop. Have you considered that at all?
Yes, I was thinking about branding maybe 2 years after the operations.
Okay.
Because the thing is, people here, they prefer, people recognize businesses through word of mouth.
Yep.
Yes. So I'm just thinking of branding it properly after 2 years of operations. Because Business Samoa, once we started it, we struggled at first, but then when once people spread the word, then we managed to catch up with the revenues and within 1 month.
Can I just clarify something? So the app would be like Business Samoa online, or
I would just name design.
Oh, okay. So does the brand design have traction? That's what your e-commerce site was?
Yes. So design will be an extension for Business Samoa, meaning you decide on the product, and then we have to deliver it through, you just signal us, and then we will deliver it.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to be critical, but it's confusing to me. The design and the signal, but maybe that's something that works in the local context.
Okay, that's what it means, design and signal. So once you make your decision on the products, you just signal us through your mobile phone, especially the smartphones, and then we deliver it through using design products.
Okay. I think it's confusing to me because design means something else as well. I'm not sure that it means anything that's related to e-commerce. So I look at this and I think, oh, you're a design company. Maybe you can make me a poster or a new website. So maybe just something to consider and test with some of your customers, like show them, would you know what I'm doing for you if you see this, maybe?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Thank you. Over to you, Giovanni.
I don't have further questions for you, Ronnie. So thanks a lot for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really great. Thanks, mate. Take care.
Amazing pitches. Congratulations to all the 8 entrepreneurs showcasing their innovative ideas to the jury. Now let's hear what the judges thought about the pitching startups.
All right, so we can go just quickly one by one. Again, one or two bullet points on why you like them on the what perspective. Anyone that wants to start with Strong?
I do think there's a lot of demand for this model, and I think there's a lot of need for it from a development and health perspective as well. So I think that's a really positive thing.
Great.
I would encourage them just to be a bit, make it a bit simpler, and make sure they align with partner systems a bit more.
Perfect.
So I thought that the Strong program had really a lot of potential for helping women through pregnancy. I thought they had some great evidence of the efficacy of the group training and the accessing online materials. And I think they have the potential to really supplement and improve government, publicly available services.
Perfect. So, Book the Islands. I think they have. It's a nice team. They do have like a nice product, and I think it's super. It's really needed. So I like the approach also they're taking, like bottom up, going with SMEs. I think it's super nice and probably effective. I actually really liked the solution and the pitch. I think they have good potential, and they're quite advanced in the. I mean, the technology is up and running. The website is up and running, which is great. So let's see how it goes after the COVID situation eases down a bit.
Yeah, it's an essential service, right, for tourists, and so given the option, I think any tourist or traveller or even business would prefer to go through a trusted, ethical site that gives back through a larger organisation that might not do that. So I think it was just really sort of and I've had a look at their website before this, and it's all there. So I think it's also a mature, improving business too, which I like.
Yeah, so I thought Booking Samoa was fantastic pitch. Like, they obviously have such deep expertise of the context, and I love the development impact potential by linking in these smaller family operated businesses and connecting them with a global traveling audience. I thought the Booking Samoa site was provided an additional value add in that the breadth of the experiences that you can book through there. It's not just accommodation, but it's tourism experiences, it might be cultural experiences, and perhaps it can also expand into buying, products from local artisans, after you've had your adventure. So I thought it was a really well thought out and solid business.
So about 8 goals and Esmeralda. I think she's a great communicator. Really like the pitch. The presentation's really well thought out. And also, I think it's a very needed solution for young people and wannabe entrepreneurs in the islands. I also appreciate the fact that she has a lot of she's a good network and good mentors, potential mentors around the world. That's definitely a strength.
I completely agree with you. And for me, it's really great to see it, this being Pacific led. I think that was oftentimes these hubs are, people from Australia or overseas trying to support the Pacific. But this is really fantastic to see a Pacific Island entrepreneur standing up and taking Pacific expertise to the world. And that's really interesting, because I think the Pacific has a lot to offer the world, what we can learn from the Pacific, and I think that's the opportunity there.
Yeah, I thought Esmeralda and 8 Goals were incredibly inspiring, fantastic pitch. I think the thing that stood out for me is that Pacific context, locally owned, locally driven, understanding your environment, and I think the focus on youth and youth unemployment and providing skills and leadership to become entrepreneurs if they want to. I think those skills are also very useful in anything that you want to do, not just in starting a business. So I thought it was great.
Thank you so much. And speaking of the local focus, I think that so going to Fatu Toa Nutrition, I think that's also one of their strengths, is really the focus on the local markets, the personalization to they have a really specific persona. So I really like that. I think that's a good strength.
Listen, they're an established business, and the model is already working. So they're building upon what already works, which I think is really exciting. We know that nutrition is a massive problem in the Pacific. So talking about Pacific and Indigenous recipes, I think is really, really nice, and within context, relevant for all Polynesia and within the and I guess the whole Pacific diaspora as well. So there's huge opportunity there. I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, I loved Brendan and Fatatoa Nutrition. I thought it was so unique to have a nutrition program that's specifically targeted to what people are going to go out and be able to find in their own supermarket or in their own local market. I assume the recipes are easy to make and accessible. So I thought it was really great. And to have that personal coaching from someone who, you know, probably knows people who are suffering from NCDs and understands the situation of the person going through a very difficult health and fitness challenge, because it's not easy. So I think that support and that supportive network is great. And also having an MD, like a doctor, as one of the coaches provides something quite unique, I think, being able to give a little more specialised medical advice, particularly if people have diabetes or high blood pressure or any of these pre-existing conditions.
Definitely a strength. So Guiltless Meat, Toa. So definitely that it's a huge market. There's a huge potential in the market. It's a huge opportunity. I think that she's also really passionate about it, which is great. I could really see the passion, and again, it's a market that it's growing very fast. So if she really manages to step into the game, it could turn like into a great thing, especially also given the Samoan sort of point of view perspective to it.
Yeah, for me, this is all about opportunity. It's a really future-ready business, and I think if we think, it was very domestic focused, but if we're thinking about international focus, the Pacific Islands has a reputation for being clean and green and healthy. When you're purchasing things, so I think there's a real opportunity for this is a future-ready business. They've got a boundless opportunity. And also an opportunity to strengthen that supply chain as well. And once they get that right, I think the possibilities are endless, to be honest with you.
I love the guiltless meat concept. I think it's shown to be very popular in Australian markets, and I think it's got a lot of potential. Obviously, at early stage right now, but I think it's got if you can get it right, it could be really, really interesting in the local context.
Farfiti, Lotam. I was actually really happy to have you guys on board today, because of course I don't know much about the context in the Pacific, so I could see that it's actually a really great problem that she's trying to solve, and that's really great. And I think that she. So Brigita has very clear ideas also on where she's heading, what she wanna get. So again, it's still early at the moment, but I think that she has a clear direction of where she wanna be in the future.
So I was super impressed with Brigita, and a bit legal. I thought it's snappy, it's cute. From a branding, but really the impact could be so huge. I think she's uncovered a real pain point for the legal profession and for people trying to navigate laws in Samoa, and the potential application to have that system expand and grow across the Pacific, I think is really incredible. I'm sure for the local punter, it's a little bit like, oh, who cares about legal database? But I think it's really filling an incredible gap. And I think her cost and subscription model, and thinking about a freemium so that everyday people can still access that information more easily in an accessible way. But I think she can potentially make money from this to support the accuracy in the content update and stuff. I just thought it was fabulous.
I think for me, it was just from a bit of a startup nerd point of view, it was very new, the idea. I haven't really heard anything much like this. So I think that, and I hate the word disruption, but I think that it does have an opportunity to sort of really change the way that people look at how they access legal advice. And I think that's really, really exciting. So I really, really like that. We got a lot of work to do to get this right, but I think it's just the opportunity here. I think it's fantastic.
So I thought Teresa and her idea, Task My, is really great. I think, obviously it's at quite an early stage yet, but there is definitely a huge opportunity with people who are unemployed, skilled and unskilled, to access casual and opportunistic work opportunities. It's got a long way to go, but I think the general idea could have get some real traction.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Just to back you up on this, I've seen personally running this competition in Asia, a lot of startups that are trying to do the same, and they're being quite successful. So of course it could be a crowded space, but on the other side, the opportunity is there. And I think that if she gets it right, it's a really great opportunity. And not only for job seekers, but also for students looking for part-time stuff. I think that, the market potential is there.
I agree. I mean, there are a lot of big and successful organizations that do this stuff, and they're big and successful for a reason, because there is a demand for this. And so if there is a genuine gap in the market, there's a huge opportunity to do this. Really tapping into that informal market and so that gig market is really important, and particularly, with the Pacific so impacted by COVID. There is a real big opportunity about how we can, think about how you can stimulate sort of employment market and economic growth around this too. So it's a really, if they can get it right, it's a really, really fantastic opportunity.
Okay, the design.
I'll sort of word this in the context of opportunities, because I think that we know once again that these apps work. Sounds like they're sort of a limited amount of competitors. It's a small market, but done right, this can work. The opportunity here is to sort of really make sure you get that brand, that name, and get that sort of, sales structure right as well. And if they can get that right, the opportunities once again are endless.
I really liked the idea that Ronnie and his wife Hazel have pitched, because the closing of small stores, they have stock that's not getting to the people if it's inconvenient to get there, and he already has a fleet of cars to build on. So I think the opportunity is definitely there if he builds the app right, and like Ben said, makes it simple and easy to use, and the cost is not prohibitive. There's definitely an opportunity if he can get some sort of like name recognition for the service.
Absolutely. I do believe that they're getting closer to find their product market fit. They've been up and running with some traction, so that's really shows that things are working and could work. So excited to see what's ahead for them.
Now, while the jury keeps discussing and gets to a final decision, we want to provide an overview about the entrepreneurship and innovation landscape in Samoa. We are going to hear the perspective of local experts that will share their knowledge in a panel discussion that will be moderated by Kong Sit, Market Engagement Manager at the GSMA Ecosystem Accelerator.
Thanks everyone again for making time. Since the last year that we've met in Samoa, what has changed so far? We have gone through two crises, one measles epidemic, and now we're going through COVID-19. I see Samoa has strong-willed people, and how have that affected you guys?
Definitely, people here and businesses here have changed the structure of how they deliver products. A lot of businesses here, which here in Samoa, just to provide some context, we don't move as fast as the rest of the world in terms of technology. So the online space was very much vacant. We probably only had one or two businesses who were doing it. But social media, selling on Facebook, was one of the biggest areas that people were trying to go into. So when COVID hit, you started to see a lot of people doing more advertising, online advertising, doing a lot of trying to push their products online, whether it be through social media, whether it be through different market groups. But people were starting to, tread the waters of e-commerce, right? And go into that. In terms of the landscape itself, I think COVID really did a number on everybody here. Some people are just trying to stay afloat at this time, keep their head above water, and other businesses are thriving during these times. So it's affected different businesses differently, but those who have been in the market for a long time, I know they're really trying to change and adapt to this new norm, which is ongoing right now.
Yeah, so it's like everywhere across the world, it's been extremely challenging, and I also fully support what Lupe said. You don't need a brain surgeon to understand that the tourism sector has been affected the most. And as Lupe mentioned, the one area that's taken off is the digital space. I mean, we have a couple of our members who actively engage in that area, and they're telling me, beforehand they were just okay. Their businesses were just going along fine, but ever since COVID, it's just straight line increase. It's been amazing for them to grow as businesses. So it's the biggest challenges we've had for business, from all our business owners, is the fact that they've had to adapt, and it's adapt across the board, having new business models, strategically realigning their businesses now to not only just make a profit, but just to survive. It's a very challenging space, and but the digital growth is something that's unprecedented. It's hard to put in words how to explain what's happening at the moment, but it's definitely challenging times. But it's also exciting times in terms of digital growth in our country. We're constantly having to adapt to these different. It's interesting times. It's hard to forecast, it's hard to look ahead, but everyone's on their toes trying to find ways to survive. Thank you.
Here in Samoa, we don't have COVID. We haven't had a confirmed case. Yet the SOE regulations which are put in place is probably higher than it's just like we have COVID here. And it's been really difficult for businesses to really try and maneuver and operate during these times. You as a business, like private sector, had to fight very hard. And I thank you, Chamber, because they had to put in a lot of work to convince the government to try and ease off some of the regulations. So like Bati said, it has been very challenging times for the businesses here.
If I can just chip in, MCEL, that's the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Labour, did a survey a couple of months back. I think it was in May 2020. And they found out that 19% of the businesses had actually shut down because of COVID. And I think about 66% of the businesses had to reduce their working hours and reduce just to really cut costs. And also about 70% of the respondents had no idea whether they would be in business in 2 months' time or 3. And there was a general drop of revenue recorded. About 91% of the respondents say they had dropped in revenue. So those numbers are quite telling about the impact of the state of emergency on Samoa. Like Lupe said, there is no COVID in Samoa at the moment. However, the economic impact on small businesses has been immense. However, on the other side of the coin, as UNCDF, we've always tried to push digital payments and digital innovations. And we've always had, during this time, we've had a lot of uptake in interest from businesses and consumers as well. People are seeing that digital is more resilient when it comes to crises like COVID, and they're actually more open to, for example, signing up to an e-commerce platform and the like. So there are some positives coming out of this, and yeah, pretty much. But just looking at how is this a good environment, for example, to start a business, and then looking at what kind of businesses are actually starting during the within this climate is quite an interesting insight.
Yeah, it's really challenging, and You brought up one interesting point where we mentioned the digital businesses and connectivity during the time of COVID. And I think last year during the miso crisis, it is sort of, I don't know if we can call it a preparation for Samoa to be ready. And now that COVID restrictions have made it more challenging, how has connectivity helped so far for the businesses in the country? And how relevant are they in addressing these challenges? It doesn't necessarily have to be how Blue Sky or Digicel provide services, but rather business owners who uses their services to further their business or become resilient. Yeah.
I'm happy to start.
Sure.
So UNCDF is supporting Sky Eye in basically improving their capacity to meet the needs during this time. As the country shut down, more and more people to remain, to leave their businesses open, signed up for Ma Up. And you're saying that we're now supporting Sky Eye in just increasing their capacity, bring in new vendors, reaching more customers, and there is more keenness when it comes to signing up. Conversations with vendors are the vendors actually coming to Sky Eye to sign up. So there is an improvement when it comes to doing business online, for example. An improvement in e-commerce generally around Samoa.
Yeah, I'll just jump on board as well. Look, it's a really interesting developing space. You're actually you're emailing me, and I'm just doing something for what Brigita talked about with our team here from Wimti, which is the Moa app. So that's they're closing that off. They're off tomorrow. But the reality is, there's a lot of other players in the field at the moment. We've got young entrepreneurs selling cash cow using apps. Re-strategizing their small businesses. We've got small shops who are online now selling their produce. We've got other players in the field such as Samoa Market Online who are catering for those who are diaspora that live overseas. We've got our own version of Uber Eats or Siki Eats. I mean, the issue is some have their own markets that they're trying to support. Moa app is very strong with the community, smaller community-based projects. But we've got others also operating in their own districts. Others who are catering to a specific youth clientele. So it's a changing dynamic, but there's a lot of them. Every day we're getting young entrepreneurs coming in and say, "Look, I've got this unique idea that I'm supporting. I'm supplying." What we're trying to do is trying to bring them in so they can collectively work together with each other. So it's a growing space. I can only see this growing even more, but there's so many of them out there. It's just that we're just trying to bring them out of the woodworks so they can work together.
Yeah, I agree with Bati. The space, I think this season of COVID, this so-called famine that we're in right now, if there's not a better word, it's really opened the minds of young people here to think beyond the norm of what they used to think of ways that they can use their mobile devices to make money, to think of other avenues of how they can sell what they're currently doing, whether it be taro, whether it be baking or things like that. But with this, what happened, it's allowed them to not be afraid of venturing into the digital space. And today I was a panelist here for the Youth Innovation workshop today. And like Bati said, there's a lot of them who have ideas, who have started, are looking to do a startup in the digital space. So that's probably the positive that has really come out of COVID for our young people. Because previous to this, I tell you, I don't think there was anyone other than IT experts who were willing to think into the digital space. Like, it was always zoned like that. If you didn't have the IT expertise, if you don't know anything about IT, then only those guys can do that. Like, if you have no clue, you have no right venturing into it. And if you want to, you need to ask. So like that kind of mentality. But with this COVID, it's really allowed people to think outside of their boundaries, right? Outside of the limitations of those sort of segmentation, and made them be more creative to adapt to this new crisis.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I also want to hear, like, from your environment, from your friends or family circle, are there more businesses or traditional businesses who are adopting technology? And if there's a good example, I would love to hear about them, who adopted technology to just change the way they work.
There is Women in Business. So Women in Business is an NGO that basically works with smallholder farmers, very small, like micro businesses. They sell foodstuffs and everything. And before, they used to hold market days. So they would have a day and they would hold a market day and people would come and buy. But with the SOE, they couldn't have those market days anymore. So they then partnered with the Sky Ima app, and they're then able to still have those market days online. So it's interesting to see that these smallholder farmers are actually doing e-commerce. They're actually selling their goods online. And yeah, I think that's an interesting use case. And even when for example, if the SOE is no longer in place, it would be interesting to see how many actually stay on using an e-commerce platform. And I'm sure maybe Hobart would have insight on whether there is like a new market for them, people they wouldn't be able to reach before, who wouldn't be willing to come to the market, and now they can easily purchase their goods online.
Yeah, Hubert, I think you also mentioned once or twice about, some people who adopted technology to bring supplies to their communities or to their customers. Yeah.
The classic example we have, Samoans are big consumers of what we call umu. It's our staple Sunday meal where we share with our families. The majority of families, what they do is they they purchase it from markets that are available Sunday morning. But because of SOE, the government has stopped the Sunday markets, which normally happen early Sunday morning between 4 and 7 a.m. in the morning. And also they've stopped the small shops from selling umu, basically in an attempt to make sure everybody goes to church. But what's happened is the smaller shops have adopted now, and they've opened up 4 more Facebook pages where you can now order your Sunday umu a day in advance or 2 days in advance, or even on 3 days in advance, and they will deliver it to your family on the Sunday morning. Because there's no restrictions on the car movements on that on Sunday morning. So, everybody's adopting to stay afloat, to make sure that their businesses exist.
And what is interesting is, there are people who manage to make those changes and thrive, right? Are they actually making payments in cash right now? And have you seen more people adopting digital modes of payment?
I think here it's still cash. When you say digital mode, you're referring to online payments, which requires them to have either a debit card or a credit card. Credit card penetration is still here. There has been no change to it, to the landscape of it. But debit cards, with 2 of the banks offering international debit cards, Visa and MasterCard, I think I've seen a bit more people with those around using it for transactions. But in terms of payment for these services, like what Bati has explained, it's purely cash right now, right? Because you look at it and only 10% of the market will have an actual bank account or a debit card of that. And these guys are informal sector, which is pretty much driving a lot of these everyday things. They're still cash basis.
But e-commerce payment solutions are still pretty new in Samoa. For example, Mtala launched just a couple of months ago. It's quite new. They're yet to develop a proper e-commerce solution. Same thing with Digicel. As for the banks, because there wasn't much demand before. As we've talked about, this demand for digital has really skyrocketed during this time of the SOE, of the lockdown. And I think the numbers have increased, and there might be a business case for the financial service providers, but previously there wasn't. The demand was just not there for this product. However, I do see a future where Samoa does have multiple payment solutions in place for different e-commerce solutions. But at the moment, everything's pretty much either in idea stage or like just an early
Still in work in progress.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, with MTALA and digital mobile money as well, there's still a lot of manual work within the telco company that they do for those two platforms. Like, it's not fully digitized. From a consumer perspective, it looks digitized, but internally, like they still have a lot of manual work within their company to get one transaction resolved. So like Iris said, it definitely is a space that's very young, emerging here in Samoa, but there are many possibilities. I mean, I heard a couple of weeks ago that one of the banks will be rolling out their own payment platform. So this is something to look forward to, but to have that platform come into place, they would have seen a need for it in the economy. And I think after all the asking from some of the online businesses, one of the banks has responded and will be bringing in their own platform.
UNCDF, in partnership with UNESCO, are supporting SkyEye to develop a local payment gateway. Now, the idea is a local business going to every financial service provider just to get access to a payment solution might be difficult. So if we have an aggregated solution, so one aggregator connected to all financial service providers, that will ease up connection to this payment solution. So that is still work in progress, setting that up at the moment, but it's definitely, we see this as something to enable, like, open up the market into e-commerce in Samoa.
But just from my perspective, because we do a lot of work behind the scenes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of the infrastructure and the policy enabling in order for this to happen. I mean, at the moment, the Chamber's working hard with government for the reduction of levies on access devices, which we have some of the most levied products in the world, which is why a lot of people including government, purchase their access devices from overseas. And also the cost of internet, we're working hard because at the moment we have a Vodafone and Intracel. We're trying to find a compromise between them both to ensure that we're able to have reduced levies so people can access these devices. So there's a lot of work going on in the background until those issues are sorted. We really want to find the support systems to help people like Payway and SkyEye, because until those issues are solved, it's just going to continue to hit a brick wall. But those conversations are happening. They're happening fast. It's just the enabling environment. Because the reality is a lot of these organizations that are doing a lot of this work, they're aligned to either one internet provider, and which is competing against another internet provider. But we need to have a system that's inclusive of everybody. So there's ongoing challenges, but I'm confident. I'm confident the near future will get this all sorted out. But it's the norm in most countries that are developing their internet products and so forth. We just need to get everybody on the same page in order to make this happen.
Thanks for all the inputs. It's interesting. And I mean, if we look at right now, the picture may be quite bleak, but a lot of the countries have started reopening up some of the economy. Many countries started talking about travel, more relaxed travel restrictions. What do you think? I think it's bound to happen sooner or later, right? So what do you think this post-COVID world will be like? How will that affect the entrepreneurs in Samoa, right? What should they be preparing for that period?
Especially the tourism industry industry here and food and hospitality, whereby tourists and expats was probably the backbone of their business. They've really had to adapt and try and cater to the local markets. Some resorts have adapted faster, and they're making the benefit of it right now. But in any business right now, whether it be tourism, whether it be anything else, it's trying to be able to sustain yourself on the local market. But I wanted to mention this earlier, and I'm sorry that I had to skip back. If there was a business right now which has actually done better than what it was before, it's these small retail outlets that reside in the villages. And this is purely because of SOE restrictions, because they're open 24 hours. But what you see now is a lot more Samoan people have gone to open these small shops, small convenience over-the-counter outlets, because it's open 24 hours. With the restrictions on our supermarkets, these guys are the ones who have benefited a lot. So that's one of the business which is really thriving here in Samoa. Even Asian stores, which previously were supermarkets, are now considering being over-the-counter because of the hours that the government has allowed for them to be open. And if it continues this way, ideally we're going to see a lot of small over-the-counter shops opening up more. Some families had their over-the-counter shop closed for many years, but due to this COVID crisis, they've reopened it, and now it's generating income for them.
Yeah, good to see that. Any thought from you, Iris?
At the moment, there's just so much uncertainty. Like, no one can tell you for sure when the borders will be open. No one can tell you when the first tourists will come to Samoa. So this level of uncertainty is really, I think, opening up minds of business people, of entrepreneurs. Like, what can I do with the market that I have at the moment? So you're seeing a lot of, like Lupe mentioned, you're seeing a lot of people changing direction. So whereas I was targeting the tourist market, I'm now targeting the local market. But on a digital front, we're also seeing a lot of building back better. So you're looking at your business case and saying, how resilient is my business case? Right now, the SOEs are relaxed, but if the borders open and there is a case of COVID, everything is shut down again. What does my business look like? So you're seeing businesses start to prepare for that kind of scenario, that kind of uncertainty, and that's quite interesting. That where businesses are now relying on digital channels and digital models just to remain resilient.
Well, I'm saying the same thing to all our business owners, is to be prepared for the long haul. We have to be very cautious of what's happening. Our government has taken the approach that they will not open up our border until there's a vaccine. So that could be 6 months, it could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line. But it's good just to be honest to our business owners. We've just got to be prepared for the worst case scenario. And you mentioned earlier, Kang, that our government has already experienced the tragedy of the measles crisis, and they do not want to go through that again. They won't compromise on the issue of opening our borders. We've been asking for a bubble, but every time we have a new issue come in from New Zealand, Australia, which is our closest ports, we also have the issue of repatriation flights coming soon, and our government are working. We go up there every week, twice a week, and we get the same answer, which is until the vaccine arrives, we will not open up our borders. So we just have to be ready for the long haul. I guess that's the key message that we're sending out to everyone, to adapt their business models. How that looks like, to be honest with you, we're trying to find resources and to help businesses to adapt it, to stay alive. And it's something we're concerned about, especially with our tourism industries. But it's better to be prepared than not prepared. So, it's a very challenging time for us in the business community, but we just got to be ready to engage for the long run, because we don't know how long this is going to take.
The skill set to adopt to new models is something that we really need to look into. So we're talking all these digital initiatives and innovations, but what's the skill set that we have in Samoa? How are people equipped to adopt those new models? And I think it begins straight from, primary school all the way our education system in Samoa, but also kind of, initiatives from other members in society on educating people on digital skills, how to use a phone, how to use a computer, laptop, what can the internet do for you, that kind of education and digital literacy, yeah.
I don't know if I would call this a silver lining. COVID has sort of forced everyone to start adopting internet connectivity. And even the traditional, very, very traditional people who will never make a call via phone and make you meet them in person are now on Zoom or Slack and whatnot. So I see that as one positive sign, and that will also enable a lot of digitalized businesses. It doesn't have to be like really tech-based businesses, rather traditional businesses who adopt technology be able to sell now to the average consumer, because average consumer now are making use of connectivity. It is the reality that we must all prepare ourselves for resilience for a very long haul, and the skill sets need to be done. And I think we're looking forward to providing more help in terms of building that skill set and for the businesses. But I think the other side is to help these businesses educate their customers or consumers to be adaptable. Yeah. If there's any last thought and last wishes for everyone who's going to listen, please feel free to do it. Iris, you may want to start since you're on. Yeah.
Maybe just one last point is I think it's quite important that we look at gender divide caused by the COVID crisis in businesses. In Samoa specifically, with such a crisis, the women tend to be left behind because the social and family obligations fall on them. So the children are not going to school, close my business, stay at home. So I feel like that's something that we should really look into and see how does everybody adopt to these new times, in a more gender equality kind of way. But just to say that I feel like Samoa is quite resilient. We have been lucky that the government was quite in action and there's no COVID in Samoa. So whereas there are restrictions, they're not as bad as countries where there is COVID. Businesses are still opening. Entrepreneurs have options to change. So if you're dealing with tourism, you kind of look at your local market and say, how can I make this work? So I feel like we can go through this time and some businesses will survive. And also I feel like paying attention to that, like looking at the business case for digital and how these numbers have actually increased and people are using digital, which will then encourage other entrepreneurs to develop solutions for this market, for this new emerging market in Samoa.
Yeah, like Iris said, people have adapted quite fast here in Samoa. And yes, I was going to point that out. Unlike other places overseas whereby it's hard to reach consumers, here in Samoa, people are still able to go and see their customer, just like how Hobart explained with the Sunday delivery. The one thing that people have had to adapt to is probably the operational times, which has now been dictated by government. And initially in the beginning, we had only 10 people to an event, but now the government's been flexible and allowed a bit more people, as well as takeaways and dining is also allowed within cafes and restaurants. So a lot of businesses are still operating as per normal. It's just trying to convince people to come back to them is probably the biggest part that people are doing. And that's why you see a lot of them advertising now on social media. One thing I want to note that Iris picked up on is digital literacy. that is something, and building digital capacity here in Samoa, that is probably one gap that really needs to be probably offer more support, offer more training programs to be catered to that, because it's all well and great to start and to have a lot of digital businesses, but the gap is always, there's always that gap to be able to execute it properly without the right support, without the right capacity, without the right resources. So digital literacy, digital capacity, building digital capacity here is probably two of the things that I think definitely somewhere that both yourself and UN can probably pitch into.
There's three takes from this that we need to keep on continuing. For example, us as an organization, is we need the support of organizations such as Seedstars. We need these networks out there, because the reality is you guys are far more advanced in terms of technology that you work with, the networks that you have, and we need the support of basically connecting our young entrepreneurs like Lupe to you guys to continue to develop them and make them grow as young entrepreneurs. For us, if we're going to have the digital space grow in Samoa, it needs to be inclusive of all. And it's a big challenge for us that we continue to bring these young entrepreneurs, because reality is more, like most countries around the world, people like to work in silos, but bringing them collectively together. So we support, especially the small guys. I love the work that Sky Eye does, but Sky Eye is quite established as an organization, but we also want to bring in the young entrepreneur that might be overwhelmed by the work that Sky Eye does to support them as well. So bringing in these programs are the support of everybody and giving them the space to grow, because most of the time, these young entrepreneurs need support, they need encouragement to come out. And the last thing that's important to us is we need to keep on the pulse and understand what's happening in the business community. So conducting surveys for us, and that is very important.
Thank you very much for everyone for joining, and appreciate your time.
Thanks to Kung and the panel members for that interesting discussion and insights. Now, the time that you were all waiting for has finally arrived. The jury has selected the winner for Seedstars Appia 2020.
So, welcome everyone. This year, we have received more than 35 applications for the Seedstars Appia pitching competition, the local chapter of the largest competition for startups in emerging markets. We had 8 great entrepreneurs pitching online, and after a very long and difficult deliberation with the jury, we have a winner. The winner of today's event will participate in the regional phase of the competition, competing with fellow entrepreneurs from Asia Pacific, and among other prizes, will be awarded 2 free months of the Investment Readiness Program, a program developed by Seedstars that aims at supporting startups in their journey to raise funds. Kima. Helping women through pregnancy is definitely a key element in the health tech space, and we believe there is a lot of demand for the service you are offering. However, it is still a premium solution, and we are interested in seeing how you will develop partnerships with other stakeholders in the market and move to a fully digital offer. Kevin and Jeff, yours is an essential service for tourists, and we were impressed by your traction and bottom-up approach to the market. However, we are concerned about the current and future impact of COVID-19 on your operations. Esmeralda, we really liked your passion and communication skills. Supporting the youth by providing them with the right skill set is definitely a must-do. However, we had some concern about the business model and the strategy for the long-term growth. Brandon, nutrition is a huge problem worldwide. You have a very well-established business with a clear target customer. However, we had some doubts with regards to the market expansion plans and on the unclarity regarding the allocation of funds. Toa, you stood out for the passion about your product. You're looking at a market characterized by huge global demand, and the opportunity is definitely there. However, the business is still in early stage, so we have many questions about how you'll be able to scale it, and especially tackle the supply and distribution problems linked to it. Brigita, you have a clear idea of what you want to achieve and in which direction you want the business to go. You're tackling a real pain point in the market, and the impact could be huge. Nevertheless, there is a lot of work in front of you, and we are curious to see how fast will the implementation be from an idea to a final product. Teresa, you had a great idea, as there is a huge gap in the market at the moment. Tackling the problem of unemployed people, especially under these circumstances, is absolutely crucial. However, it is a crowded space out there, and in order to succeed, you will need to figure out a solid execution plan. Finally, Ronnie. You're running a functioning business with existing traction. We believe it is a very good opportunity if the sales strategy and the app are made right. However, as it is integrated with another project, we found the pitch a bit confusing, and we are concerned about the ongoing and future impact of COVID-19. So, before I announce the winner, I would like to thank all the people and partners that have made this possible, especially during these challenging times. Thanks to Stephanie and Ben for helping us judge the 8 founders competing, and a special thanks goes to the Australian government and the GSMA for supporting Seedstars and for allowing us to digitally bring the competition to the Pacific Islands. It is finally the time. The 2020 Seedstars Apia winner is Kevin and Jeff from Booking Samoa. Congratulations, guys. Please feel free to unmute yourself, and if you want to say a few words, feel free to share anything.
Jeff, go.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks, Giovanni. Thanks, everybody. It was just so good to meet everybody and in the competition, but it really already helped us focus. And we've already had ideas, we've already done a lot of the work, but to put everything together to pitch it has been incredibly helpful already, even at this stage. So thanks again. Kev, I'm sure you have something to say, mate.
For the first time, I'm speechless. Thank you, Seedstars. Thank you, Apia participants. I think we've met an incredible group of people who've got some great ideas. We've been talking offline, and I think we'll find ourselves supporting each other moving forward, and sort of hopefully continuing this journey together. Thank you, everyone. I look forward to the next challenge.
Thank you so much, Jeff and Kevin, and really congratulations. Of course, we want to congratulate all the other participants for the amazing job they're doing and for fostering the growth of Samoa's entrepreneurship landscape. It was really inspiring for me, and I guess for everyone else watching this, to hear about your projects and innovative ideas. And we really wish you all the best in your entrepreneurial journey. And I really hope that also you can find a way to collaborate all together and strengthen this entrepreneurial community. So thank you all. Of course, stay safe always. And please, if anyone wants to share anything, please just unmute yourself, and we're happy to hear your thoughts.
Congratulations, Steph and Kevin. Well done, everyone. Proud of you all. Let's keep this together.
Thanks, John, for the opportunity, and congratulations.
Once again, congratulations to Kevin and Jeff. All the very best, and all the very best to all the other participants. Thank you very much, Giovanni.
Thank you so much.
Well, I don't know if that kind of overlapped there, but
you
yeah.
Can restart.
Mine. No, congratulations, Jeff and Kevin. All the very, very best, and represent Samoa with pride on that last stage. We take our hats off to you. Congratulations to everyone involved, and it's been an awesome journey. Thank you so much, John, for the opportunity. Malo lava.
Again, thanks a lot. And in case anyone else wants to share, otherwise we can wrap it up. And I guess I'll see you very soon. Not physically, unfortunately, but online.
Okay.
So, after a tense competition, it's Booking Samoa who will be advancing to the regional stage of the competition and face other winning startups from Asia Pacific. Congratulations to them, and thanks once again to all of the startups that took part. Thank you to all those who attended today's online event. We hope you enjoyed it, and we appreciate you coming and supporting these amazing startups. If you want to find out more information about the Seedstars World Competition, please visit our website or reach out to us on our social media channels. Thank you once again. We hope to see you next year, and goodbye.